You're listening to the Warlord Radio Podcast.
Well, welcome to episode 14 of the Warlord Radio Podcast. I am Craig.
I am Carrick.
And we have Scott Reese from Texas Frightmare Weekend and several haunts around the DFW area. Say hi, Scott.
Thank you. Hi.
Scott, give us a little background on who you are. Not to put you on the spot, but what do you do at Texas Frightmare Weekend?
Well, I'm over all the volunteers, so I'm like the volunteer coordinator, but kind of do a lot of everything.
Oh, man, that sounds like a lot of putting out fires.
Yeah.
Like, because volunteers
wiping noses,
mean well.
fires.
I mean, they mean well, but that could get real bad, I would assume.
Yeah, we got a really, really good volunteer staff. I mean, it's serious. I'd take them to war anywhere.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I'm one of those staff.
Yeah.
So
that makes total sense.
That's why Scott's on the show, is because I basically hauled him out. I was like, hey, I'm putting you on our fucking podcast. He's like, all right.
Well, when he told me what you do, and I was just like, yeah, I absolutely want to talk to this guy. Like, so how long have you been doing Texas Frightmare?
Well, this next year will be our 15th. So,
and you've been doing it since the beginning?
Yeah. Well, the first year, I used to do haunted houses.
Okay.
So I had a mutual friend who was waiting in line for a Leatherface autograph.
Cool.
So this guy in front of him was talking about starting his own convention. So then he told me about it, and we were just trying to cross-promote the haunted house I was with this.
Okay.
So we just handed out flyers just like these.
Yeah, he came in here with a gang of flyers. We're going to be passing these out all over town, but I mean, if you're anywhere near Texas, May 3rd through the 5th next year, like, you should go to Texas Frightmare Weekend. It's packed full.
So Frightmare Weekend, for those that don't know, is one of the largest horror conventions in the country. I mean, it's
I didn't
pretty,
know that.
It's pretty huge anyway. I mean, it's pretty big. It's not as enormous as Comic-Con, because Comic-Con's a little more all-encompassing.
Yeah.
Where they'll have, like, everybody. But as far as, like, just a straight-up horror convention, it's top of the class.
Okay.
And
but you're competing with, like, the Fangoria convention that goes on up in New York or whatever, that big one that they've got up there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some dotted all over the country. I mean, there's New York and Florida and
Very cool.
LA and all this kind of stuff. But one of the big ones, and one of the ones that has the best reputation, is Frightmare Weekend. And they do it every year. It's always right around the end of April, beginning of May.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I've only been aware of Texas Frightmare Weekend for like the last couple of years now. Mm-hmm. And it always looked cool, but I never got to go. But every year since I've met Craig, he's gone.
Yeah, he's been there 6-7 years now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
he always comes back just like so happy. He's like, bro, you got to check out these pictures. Dude, I saw so many cool people. I saw so much cool shit. It's just like he makes me want to go because he comes back so fucking happy. Yeah. So, yeah, good job, man.
So I handed out flyers for him just to kind of get to know him. And then the next year he needed somebody to help watch the door and wristbands. And so I brought a couple people. And they were mainly just haunted house people.
Yeah.
And then now here we are. So we had like 9, 10 on staff the first year, and I'm about 100.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
It's grown quite a bit.
Oh, man. How long did you do the haunted houses before?
I didn't do anything this year.
Okay.
I started in 98, though.
Oh, wow. So you've been at this a minute.
Yeah.
How do you get into something like that?
Well, we used to always go to them, everybody pile in the van and go out to haunted houses,
Yeah.
So, and then one opened up in Louisville, Phantoms.
Yeah.
And we saw a flyer at something like this at a Jack in the Box. So we were like, well, we'll just go check it out. And then they said they were hiring. And we're like, we'll do anything but the parking lot. If we're doing the parking lot, we'll just go to them all year, So we go in there and they hired us right then. It was just awesome.
So, what kind of things have you done in your experience working with haunted houses? Like, is it mostly backstage? Have you been the chainsaw guy? Or
that was my first job.
Nice.
The chainsaw guy.
Very cool.
That was a good guess.
Yeah, it was out on the hayride, and so I did that.
Oh, so you just like jumped out of the woods while they're on the back of this cart?
Yeah,
oh, nice.
Basically, they just said they hired for the house, and they had 7 people left. That was what was left. So they said, get on the trailer. And then they took us out in the woods, and they said, get off, and this is where you come out later.
Oh, shit. Just hang out in the woods all day.
Yeah,
and
hang
wait.
out in the woods, and then a trailer come by, 30, 40 people on there, and you just run out and.
It really makes you appreciate what a Leatherface or a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees has to go through just in terms of patience.
Right.
Like, he's been in that closet for like 4 hours,
Right?
man.
Need to take a piss really bad.
Yeah,
Fucking pissed, wants a cigarette.
yeah.
I couldn't do it. I
Yeah,
couldn't.
fuck, there's some kids coming up.
Could absolutely not be a mass killer of teenagers unless they would let me chain smoke the
Right.
whole time. Yeah. Like,
Just
that'd be
stick it
my
out of your
gimmick.
mouth, yeah.
Exactly.
Mommy, the ski mask guy is smoking and cursing.
Seems kind of drunk.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then the next year, some of the ownership changed.
Mm-hmm.
So then we moved up, and I was doing security for a while there. So and then went from that to actually running it because it changed again. So then I was building it, running it.
So you've been pretty much the constant over in that particular. Because I mean, when did it started? Did it start in '98? Phantoms?
Yeah, it was like '96 in the colony, and then
Because I remember being a kid and like seeing those commercials, and what it was is like you had haunted houses all over the place, but I mean this one was the one that they like dumped some money into and like they
Yeah.
really put some production into.
yeah, we didn't have to move too, so we didn't have to tear it down so much.
Exactly. Actually, yeah, I bet that helped a lot. Keep
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. Like you have more permanent fixtures logistically.
Yeah, then we went out to the state fair for a few years in the early 2000s. And then, those things, they if you lose your property, you're kind of hanging by a thread.
Yeah.
So, and then I jumped around and do a couple other ones. I went to, there's a really good one up in Kansas I was at.
Very cool.
Zombie Toxin.
How long did you do that?
2011 was their first year. And then I moved down here last year. So,
Oh wow.
So Scott was here,
Mhm.
and that's when I met him, and at the first Frightmare that I worked. And then he had to move back to Kansas.
To orchestrate a zombie apocalypse,
Yeah,
right?
to orchestrate a zombie apocalypse.
it didn't hurt.
Yeah. And then he was gone, so I would only see Scott really when he would come down for Frightmare, because he's up in Kansas, and then he would just drive down for Frightmare weekend, and then he'd drive right back. And then just recently, within the last year, he's moved back permanently.
Yep.
Well, hell, man, I didn't know you were practically family. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
We're glad to have
Appreciate
you
it,
on.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is cool.
You'll see him at shows and stuff like that. I drag him out whenever he can make it out and stuff like that. So
Very cool. But so I guess my first question, just as somebody who has I can't really go to haunted houses. I like them a lot, but I am one of those fight or flight assholes that you would have to deal with every now and then. Where like, if you jump scare me hard enough, I will punch you, and it's
Yeah.
not even like I want to. I
Yeah.
know it's like in my head, I
reflex.
know it's a person in there, but like my fist just comes up, and so I've been kicked out of a couple, and so now I get to admire them from afar.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to ask, like, do you get a lot of that? Like, are there just like dudes swinging on these actors essentially?
Oh, yeah.
And that's so fucked up. That's why I
Yeah.
don't go. I stay away from them on purpose.
I used to go watch the front of the line because I would know exactly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you can tell
Yeah.
immediately.
I could just watch him and go, it's going to be that guy, and I'd let everybody else go in and then follow him in and be 5 minutes.
every time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, here comes the clown on the unicycle.
Yeah.
It's like fucking dude's gonna freak out.
But I remember one time I had, there was this big biker dude, I mean, huge. And he was in there with his wife. So I thought like he was going to be this huge problem because he kind of had an attitude. So I'm following him. This clown jumps out with a chainsaw, and he literally picked his 4-foot wife up and threw her at us. Whoa! like
Whoa.
like a sack of potatoes.
Wow,
Just
man.
like, and then like
Sorry, hun.
chew.
I guess because I mean that's either the greatest tag team relationship in the world, but
Right.
or it's like the worst case of.
And then he ran, and she was like pissed.
I would have been too if I was her. Honestly, I've been like, the whole reason I married you is because you're a big ass scary biker, and now I know
Yeah.
you're. Just
She
gonna
probably
throw
had to
me.
ride on the back of the bike on the way home. Too.
She probably kicked his ass as soon as she found him. He
I know
just
if I
ran.
did that shit to my wife, everyone I know would hear about it before we even got home.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like, "You will never guess what he did."
Oh yeah, yeah. People getting hurt, running, just stuff. But yeah, it probably at least every other night somebody's really doing it.
Yeah.
And then you have just the assholes. They go in there and they take their shirt off in the line, so
They're getting ready for
yeah,
it.
yeah. They're all talking shit the whole way in the line. Going, man, this ain't scary. And then as soon as they get up there, they almost hold hands going in.
Jesus. So, So I got to ask you, I mean, this is a pretty standard question, I would imagine, for somebody in your position, but like, what is, aside from the biker throwing his fucking wife at the clown, what are some other, like, more of the, what are, like, do you have any other wild stories that are just like, only at this job would this fucking happen?
When I was acting, I ran out with my chainsaw and, because all I see is shadow. So
Right.
you can just kind of see the trailer. You can kind of guess how many people's on there, and you're hiding in this ditch. So I come running out, and I, work up one side, and I, sparking it and all this stuff. And I turn around to walk off. You barely even kind of see them sometimes. And it was all Hooters girls.
Oh, shit.
So then they yelled, hey, and I turn around, and they all flashed me. And I'm like,
Nice.
this is cool.
That was a fun job.
I'm only making $5 an hour, but it's all right.
Yeah, but I mean,
That
if
is
you're
worth it.
Thinking about that in terms of boobs, I mean, you just doubled your
Yeah.
profits easy.
Yeah. And it was winter. So,
Hey, man, that's dedication.
yeah.
Right? Was that at Phantoms?
Yeah, that was here in town. That was in Louisville.
Right on.
So that was the only year I really acted. I would get to jump back in there a little bit if I had time.
So there's been Phantoms, and then there was Zombie Toxin up in Kansas. What other haunts have you worked at?
And then Reindeer Manor down in Red Oak.
What is Reindeer Manor?
Oh, Reindeer Manor is a classic haunt around here. It's been around for a while. It's
Like
one of the
40
better
something
well-known.
years.
What?
I've never heard of it.
I haven't either.
The grounds
Oh.
are supposedly, right, in the advertising, actually haunted.
It's a real house.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that
I want to
shit.
go there. Like, I'm totally into
Yeah,
that.
they've done ghost stuff up in the attic and stuff on this. So.
Cool.
But yeah,
It's like
it's-
paranormal investigations and stuff like that.
Well, it's a real commercial haunt too. So they have that one. That's the oldest house, and the Boy Scouts used to run that, but somebody bought it out now. Alex Lohman.
I'm wondering how I've never heard of this. So I
yeah.
mean, and so like they also do like a haunt there, like
Yeah, it's
like,
a normal standard. Yeah, it's all commercial haunt, and so it's one of the oldest ones. They used to have it where like the roofs would fall and all that stuff, but they revamped it. It's pretty cool. And so then they moved. They had another haunt. They moved out there in the carriage house. There's an old stone carriage house out there that it's in. And
Okay.
that's the 13th Street Morgue.
See, I totally want to.
Yeah, you need to go see these.
Hell yeah, man, that sounds awesome.
Right? We'll take a field trip.
We should absolutely. We'll do another on-site episode and go check out the haunt.
So
man.
there's the
That'll be
13th
badass.
Street Morgue and the Reindeer
Reindeer
the
Manor.
Yeah.
Reindeer Manor.
I can't believe I've never heard of
It's
that.
going to be in
Yeah.
the Reindeer Manor Halloween Park.
Because if you guys at home had seen when I was like, "What is Reindeer Manor?" You should have seen the way these two guys just looked at me. They were like, "You fucking serious?" This guy.
Yeah.
So, okay,
where
the
the fuck
Reindeer
have you
Manor.
been?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
And I know a lot of the staff that works Frightmare Weekend also work haunts. I think I'm one of the few that doesn't.
Oh, yeah?
But
Yet.
shout out to Jeb Bartlett because he also works at Reindeer Manor.
Okay,
and,
I do know Jeb.
He's one of the team leads at Frightmare Weekend. So when I've gone out to Reindeer, I've seen him out there working security, and he's another big boy. He's the security guy. He's the guy that will kick out the shirtless dudes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jeb.
Yep.
Shout out to Jeb. I think I've met Jeb.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yo, I'm not one of the shirtless dudes. I'm one of the
No.
dudes that's like, these are actors. I'm going to go in. I'm going to have fun. And then some dude's like, I'm a deer skull monster. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, fuck. Just take a swing. Like, they scare me. I'm sorry. And so yeah.
We can usually tell by the time we catch up to you.
Cool.
If it's real or not. you know?
I've never been to one where they're allowed to touch you. So like I've always been like, okay,
I
they're
wouldn't do
actors, and
that.
like I get the jump scare, and then I start laughing and just keep walking through. That's how
Yeah.
it's always been in haunted
Yeah.
houses for me.
No, I had one person offer to take me to one of the ones where you sign the waiver and I was like, I'll fucking kill somebody, dude. Are you kidding? You can't jump on me and put your hands on me. I will hurt you. I get too scared. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you touch me, I touch you back.
Exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
not, this isn't some macho dickhead thing. I'm terrified. I'm fucking terrified.
So have you ever worked on any of the extreme haunts, the ones where
No.
they like actually take you out and psychologically fuck you up?
No, because I'd be doing what he just said. So there's no way they're gonna lock me in a freezer and like pour water on me. That's not gonna happen.
Oh man, they do some weird shit in
Yeah.
those too, like some Fear Factor shit. Like there's one where
Make you eat shit and rats and
yeah, they had one where they had to be, like they have the whole old dungeon box head thing, and they drop fucking scorpions in the top of the box, and I think that they don't have venom in them, but they're still fucking scorpions.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's even really a haunted house at that point.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
something
kind of
else.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
Now you just letting them
Just,
pay you to pee on them or something, you know.
Some people do that with so much less stress.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
not the
different
production value, Jay.
Yeah,
That's
true.
what you're missing out
True.
on. It's really just a gnarly BDSM club with like the most hardcore production value ever.
So actually, the first there was a couple other people, but most of the staff from our first year, what I would call our first year, they were all from Phantoms. So we just did it just to give us something to do in the off season. It's like, hey, let's all hang out and do this and see where it goes. And now it's like blown up.
It's awesome. And you guys, I mean, you've got insane guests. I mean, like, run down for the people who you have on the bill this year,
Bruce
'cause it's
Campbell.
nuts.
We have
Bruce fucking Campbell,
yeah,
dude.
Bruce Campbell. Tim Curry.
No shit.
Yeah, Tim Curry. You know, we got meat. We just announced Meatloaf around.
Are you guys hearing these names that he's saying? And he's saying them so nonchalantly, like, yeah, man, we can get this anytime. But it's like Bruce Campbell, who I have no less than, 8 Bruce Campbell posters on my wall at home. Tim Curry, who was a part of anybody in their 30s childhood,
Right.
or,
Darkness.
any of that. I
Legend.
mean, fucking Meatloaf. Like, even if you
Yeah.
don't like Rocky Horror, it's still fucking Meatloaf,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. Joe Bob Briggs. He was at our first show.
Yeah, Joe Bob
we
Briggs
had
has been
back.
around forever.
We got Robert England again.
Yeah.
Nice.
Freddie
Freddy
Krueger.
Krueger, yeah.
So you've met Robert England a few times. I've heard he's actually a really fun dude to be around. When
Craig
he wants
actually
to be.
worked his line. He knows
Oh, no
him
shit.
better than me.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, he was a nice guy. He would regale everybody with stories about hanging out with the hair metal bands on the Sunset Strip in L.A. and doing coke with Guns N' Roses and all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. So
That's my Freddy Krueger.
yeah. Not to be divulging anything that he doesn't want known, but no, he was just he had a lot of wild stories from the '80s when that horror peak was going on.
And especially his franchise. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street blew the fuck up. He was essentially a rock star in certainly the horror genre, but I mean, like anywhere around LA, like when it really hit its peak, the horror movies did. Like some of these guys were so fucking famous, especially
they were everywhere.
Especially,
So-
but somebody like Robert England who could actually get some personality out there, because nobody know who Gunnar Hansen is, or because there was the strong silent type, but not Freddie. Freddie was talking shit the whole
yeah,
time.
well, he was a real personality as opposed to the strong silent type.
Exactly.
Well, he's the biggest iconic horror character.
I would definitely agree with that. Actually,
And his line is insane.
Oh, yeah.
every time.
I would
So
imagine. Oh, I mean, and just think about just the pop culture shit that you see in Freddy. I mean, there's Rick and Morty characters that are
Yeah.
based off Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things that has ingrained itself so into the pop culture of this era. I mean, the dude's he's larger than life. He's still larger than life to me. I still see myself geeking out if I ever met that guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's still doing it. He still shows up in just the most random shit. And it's so great.
Oh yeah, he's still full-time actor.
And so, man, yeah, I mean, this thing is legit. How do you guys book typically? I mean, do you have like a booking agent or?
Well, they kind of all have their own agents.
Okay.
So Lloyd Cryer and Sue, they own it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, shout out to Lloyd and Sue. They're
Yeah,
the
really.
Shout out Lloyd and Sue.
the masterminds, I guess. The actual brain trust behind Frightmare Weekend is those two that started it and fund it and run
Absolutely.
it and all that kind of stuff.
But I mean, you're looking at this list. I mean, this is a list that took care to compile. Like this isn't just like, who can we get, or who's going to bully. It's like it's a precise list. Like what I mean. Like they obviously put a lot of time and thought into who they were going to have out for this year's or this upcoming event. Who did you have for 2018? I know there were some bigger names on that one as well. He freaked out again. I forgot over who.
Well, Clive Barker was there.
Yes. Yeah.
Clive Barker was there. That was one of the biggest names.
Mm-hmm. And we did all of the Cenobites. So
Oh,
we did all
wow.
of them. And Matthew Lillard, who, shout out to him, from Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
and Scream. He is the coolest dude.
I've heard that actually.
The coolest guy.
Do you know, this is a weird little side note, but you know how, because he nailed that Shaggy voice in those Scooby-Doo movies. I have a small kid. I've seen them both. And he just crushed that character. And apparently I found out in an interview with him, to get his voice to sound like that, he would go into a closet, lock the door, and just scream his ass off for like 45 minutes to harsh out his throat. And I just thought it was funny that this guy who was basically playing this like proto stoner,
Right?
basically to get into character would go into a closet and do like primal scream therapy. There's just something kind of metal about that. Right. But that's awesome to hear that he's really cool. I've seen him. I'm not
13 Ghosts.
Yeah, 13 Ghosts. That makes sense. Has he done a whole lot of other horror besides that?
Scream. He was in Scream.
Yeah,
he was one of the guys that
I
was
always
stabbing
forget
each other.
that. Yeah, I always forget.
Phil Woozy here.
Yeah. But like people will bring their kids up, you know, and he'll actually put them at the front of his line.
Oh, that's cool,
and then he
man.
sits on the floor with them and just talks. He don't talk over them. He gets down eye level with them and just sits there and does his shaggy voice because they're freaking out, you know, because this dude, he's, like I said, he is freaking awesome.
That's so rad. I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I've been ever since I was a little kid. And one of the things I can remember is Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
I went to a convention and he kind of did the same thing where he got down on my level, looked me dead in my eye, and was like talking to me and like asking me questions and answering them, and like had a little bit of a conversation with me. And like, as a kid who grows up into, you know, a full grown adult, like you don't forget shit like that.
That blows your mind.
Yeah, it's awesome that Matt Lillard does shit like that. I mean, that just makes me respect him a lot because, I mean, I know what meeting Roddy Piper did from, like, you know, 5-year-old me.
Yeah, we had Roddy Piper once. He was cool as hell.
Yeah, man,
Cool
he's
as hell.
fucking awesome. I met him. I got the good fortune to meet him a couple of times before he died. And he's awesome.
We had Sting a few years ago.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, you don't necessarily think, you know, horror and wrestling, but at the time, I mean, his entire gimmick was based off a horror theme. So was, you know, guys like The Undertaker, Vampiro. Anyway, we could rabbit hole wrestling all day, but yeah.
We had Georgie Animal Steel one time. He was,
No shit.
Yeah. He was freaking cool.
Dude, okay, Craig.
I have a picture of him where he had me force choke his ass. So
Nice.
He was like squeezed real hard too, so it looks like, and his face is red.
Yeah,
Choking
man.
the shit out of George Steele.
This guy was fucking nuts. First off, he was covered in fucking hair.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'd take off his shirt and it just looked like he was wearing another fucking shirt. Yeah. It was so, but this dude used to do the damnedest thing where he'd freak out in the middle of a match, like he'd go all beast mode or whatever, and eat the fucking turnbuckle.
Yeah.
Like he would start chewing on the turnbuckle pad until he bit a fucking hole in it, and then start like pulling the guts out of the turnbuckle pad and chewing it up and like sometimes swallowing it. And it was just like, this guy was such a monster. Like his entire character, it was one of the most larger than life wrestling personas I've ever seen. That's awesome that you got to meet him and that he was cool, because like I think that's one of those ones that scared the piss out of me.
Oh, he was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you talk about with George Steele, dude?
Really, you just stand there and stare at him, and he does a lot of the talking. So
You know what turnbuckles taste like, kid?
he was really cool. His knees were blown out.
Yeah,
and all
those-
that at
those
that point.
guys.
But, I mean, he was a really cool guy.
The dudes from that era, their bodies are shot for the most part because they didn't have like steroid shots in their knees and cortisol. Like they just took the hits and then kept going. And it was because I've met a few people from that era and they all move slow, man. But that's awesome. Sorry, you made my day with that story.
There you go. See, that's why you got to come out. You never know.
I'm gonna come out. I'm
It's
definitely
not
coming out.
It is a horror convention, but it's not just like horror people. You'll have musicians. You'll have wrestlers. You know, makeup artists, all that kind of stuff.
See, that's
We have some classes where they do like 101 stuff, and
cool.
and we show a whole bunch of movies. So we
Really?
have our own movie room. So we'll show like mostly all independent, brand new stuff. Some of it really cool. Some of it's horrible, but it's cool. You know,
Man, I think
Because
I might.
it's so horrible.
yeah,
I
mean,
like
just, you're looking at
those.
it going, man, I could do this, but like this is kind of cool to watch.
Yeah.
I love those super low budget, like, 'cause we talked about it once on an older podcast. Like, if you have a budget of $12, but you pour your entire heart and soul into your movie or whatever, you can tell.
Yeah,
Then, you know,
absolutely.
and the flip is reverse, and it's the same reversed rather, is that if you had a huge budget for your movie, but you don't give a shit about it, you can totally tell.
I kind of liken it to going to see a band, at least for me, because I always process stuff that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I can totally go to a sweaty, dirty basement show and see some kids that are maybe struggling with like the technicality of whatever they're playing, but they're just playing the shit out of it and have a great time. And then I've been to enormous arena shows that have borne the fuck out of me.
Oh, man.
And I feel the same way about movies. It's like the budget has almost no bearing of like, because I've totally like, this is fucking lame, and it could be some $300 million extravaganza.
Hellfest.
Yeah.
Hellfest.
Or I can watch Evil Dead like 30 times and be
Yes,
entertained.
we talked about that one time. You remember the part in Is it Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2 with the ankle and the pencil?
Evil Dead 1.
That's Evil Dead
Yeah.
1, where she gets stabbed in the ankle with the number 2 pencil.
Yeah.
Breaks
Okay.
it off, yeah.
That is one of the most gnarly practical effects I've ever seen in my life. To this day, when I watch that scene, I'm just like, ugh. Because, I mean, with those lower budget horror movies, this is one of the reasons I think that horror is such a great genre. Is first off, it is drama.
Yeah.
It is, and I mean, it's sometimes paranormal, sometimes a little bit esoteric, sometimes over the top drama, but it is drama. And to have a successful drama, you have to have good actors. And I mean, even if this person isn't like, going to win any Oscars, like you need to believe that this person is terrified for their life, or that this person wants to kill you with a steak knife, or skull fuck this chicken, or whatever it is that they do in these movies. It takes really good acting, and then when you mix that with a shoestring budget and these really hardcore, gnarly, visceral practical effects, it can all come together to culminate into something truly brutal. You know what I mean? And Evil Dead is a very prime example of that. That movie is so corny in places, it is laughable, but in other places, you're just like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I love that they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have Ted Raimi.
Oh,
He's
awesome.
coming out.
Yeah.
So,
Joxer the Mighty for this. We're not Xena Warrior
Xena,
Princess
yeah.
fans.
let's see what else we got coming out. We got
Well, let's read the list. So Nick Castle, who was the original The Shape in Halloween, Judith Myers, a.k.a. Sandy Johnson.
I think this might be her first one she's ever done.
Yeah,
too.
I haven't heard of her before. Certainly not here. Anthrax.
Yeah.
Scott and Charlie from Anthrax are going to be there.
No shit.
Fuck that. I didn't know this. Lee Majors.
I'm actually. I used to cook Lee Majors. He used to go to this place, this burger joint in Argyle, that I was a short order cook at, and I made that guy's eggs a few times a month. Yeah, like he'd just roll through town every couple of weeks, and I'd make Lee Major's eggs. That's awesome.
That is the shit. I will dig up some $6 million man shit to have him sign that. Right?
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs. Yeah, Reanimator, shout out. Robert Crampton.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, it's a stacked lineup.
Elvira.
That's the one that I'm definitely coming this year. Because like I told you before we even started, like Cassandra Peterson is really, the Elvira character is responsible for a lot of the way I am now,
right?
Today in my normal day-to-day life, and I have to I don't even want to like do anything creepy. I'm not sure I even want to meet her. I just kind of want to look at her and be like, you're awesome.
Just from a distance.
Yeah. Like somebody go tell her I appreciate her. I'm going to be in the parking lot chain smoking.
She's actually from my hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which would be
Manhattan, Kansas.
No kidding.
Crazy.
My dad is from Kansas. He's from Kansas City, Kansas, I believe. I don't know where that is. I've been to Topeka one time, and that's the entirety of my Kansas knowledge.
Close to that.
Okay, right on.
Lance Hendrickson.
Fuck yeah.
Felicia Rose.
Well, he was in Aliens. He was the android bishop. He was in Terminator 1. He was one of the cops that got mowed down. He was in Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
He's the farmer in Pumpkinhead,
Pumpkinhead.
which I feel in our last episode got short shrift because I fucking love Pumpkinhead.
Paul does not, apparently. We have this buddy, Paul Bones, we talk horror movies with. He shredded Pumpkinhead.
I know.
Really?
I disagree. Paul's a great dude, but I strongly disagree on that one. Kind of like you with Event Horizon.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick up for Pumpkinhead.
I stick up for Event Horizon. That movie was excellent. Yeah, but I mean, this list is nuts. I mean, this is
it's insane. It seems like it gets bigger every year.
Yeah, Lloyd puts a lot of thought in it. Like he's already thinking for the next year when we're doing this year.
Well, I mean, it was crazy because this was essentially announced like just it was a few weeks ago, right? I saw the Cassandra Peterson announcement like maybe a month or two ago.
August he usually starts So, so the first one was Tim Curry.
Yeah.
So he announced that, and it blew up at that point. So
well, I mean, it would.
He's a photo op only, but he's there. I mean, just to get him there, I've been wanting him there for years.
Well, I mean, it's like his health isn't great right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear he's doing a hell of a lot better. But I mean, like I would be happy with just not bugging the guy and taking a picture. And just, that would be totally worth it to me. The guy has been, again, one of those, for somebody my age, about like 30 to 35, like a lot of these people were like there my entire childhood.
Yeah,
and shit.
absolutely.
Like, Tim Curry isn't just Frankenfurter. He isn't just Pennywise. He's also the asshole from the hotel in Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
You know, he's been a lot of other stuff.
Legend.
So, Legend is one of my favorite flicks of all time.
Yep.
I'm a big sword and sorcery nerd. Like, as big as Craig is on the horror genre, that's me with like really shitty fantasy movies. I love them.
Legend isn't shitty. Legend
is
great.
not shitty. Legend is
especially
amazing.
the director's cut. I recently rewatched it because it's been a few years.
The
since
different
I watched
soundtrack
it.
and everything.
Yeah, and you know, I grew up with the original.
Yeah.
But the director's cut is markedly
that
better.
makeup job on Tim Curry in that movie is fucking insane.
Yeah.
I bet that thing weighed 15 pounds that they had on his goddamn head.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
We got Tom Savini. We have him every year.
That's a legend,
He's a legend, right?
Absolutely.
I know George Romero has been there many times. R.I.P.
Yes.
Was Toby Hooper ever at the con?
Yes. Yeah, well, we had him once.
Missed it.
Missed that one.
We did a 35 millimeter showing of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Fucking cool.
So we had you know, Marilyn and Pam and, you know, all them from the movie, and he was there, and
I know they had the Wes Craven retrospective panel there after Wes died, but had Wes ever been at it? I don't think he did cons, right?
No, we never had him. That'd been awesome.
Yeah.
He did. The only thing I ever heard about him doing was he did a comic book convention when he had a comic book line coming out for Marvel.
Okay.
In the mid '90s.
Really? What? Do you know what it was? I've not heard of this.
Bloodlines, I believe, was the name of it. I think it was called Bloodlines. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong. I was real young, but I got to, because my dad was a big Craven fan. And so he was like, we're going to go meet Wes Craven. And I was like, I don't give a fuck who that is, until I grew up. And I was like, holy shit, I got to meet that guy. That's awesome. But I mean, when the con scene blew up, especially with things like, you know, the Comic-Cons and things like that, and the trade shows.
Right.
When the con scene blew up, you'd see a lot of these people make appearances all over the place. Like, I've met 4 or 5 Doctor Who's. I've met several members of Starfleet in my life. I got to meet, Peter Mayhew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Chewbacca.
Fucking cool as shit, that guy.
Yeah.
By the way, like, really nice guy, but I mean, like, the niche cons are a little bit better, in
Wes
my opinion.
Craven's comic book was Coming of Rage.
That was it. Coming of Rage.
Interesting.
Was it for Marvel?
I don't know. It just
Okay.
says 2014. Looks like 3 editions of it.
I am totally slipping because I have not heard of that at all.
Yeah, it was something he's
Liquid
been
Comics
promoting since
I don't
like
know.
the
No, that's a
90s.
website.
I'll have to
never
check
mind.
that out.
And it was one of those things that didn't come to fruition. But yeah, it was. I also, Clive Barker was at that con as well.
Yeah.
And I got to meet Stanley,
Yeah.
and that was
R.I.P.
I was, yes, seriously, R.I.P. I was a true believer, man.
Yeah, it was for Liquid Comics, not Marvel.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, but I got to meet him at a con, and that was. But you don't hear about him doing many cons at all, because you hear about a lot of these guys kind of running the circuit.
Right.
But I don't know. That's kind of a treat.
Yeah. We had John Carpenter before. He was really cool.
That's awesome.
That is fucking awesome.
It'd be amazing. Wish list to get him back and have him do a musical performance.
Yeah.
And I get that you have to be diplomatic, but is there anybody that's shown up? And
Andrew
you're just like,
Barnowski.
ha!
We've never had him, but he's the biggest douchebag ever.
Hot take on Andrew Barnowski.
He was
Fuck
the
you, man.
new Leatherface, right?
Yeah. How are you going to be shitty if you're the fucking rehash? You're just going to
Right.
be
Like-
You're not even the original.
Like he shit the bed on that because he could have totally blew that up to be like a cool guy.
Oh yeah,
And I've heard so many other big stars going, that guy's a fucking dick.
yeah. That's I've heard that from about Butch Patrick, the kid that played Eddie Munster.
Yeah.
I've never met him personally, but I've worked for a couple of like websites and shit that have had to deal with that guy, and they're like, "Fuck that guy." He's like, he still thinks he's Eddie Munster. Like he is such a prick, which is so weird to me because it's Eddie Munster. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck have you done since then? That was the 50s, man.
Yeah, it's like he's an old man now, and he was that was when he was a kid.
He's also still apparently just tiny.
right.
Like,
Brutal.
He's a tiny, tiny
That's
man.
got to be a brutal thing to peak like before 10.
Oh yeah, man!
know
Are
what
you
I mean?
kidding? Yeah,
Like-
it'd probably make me an asshole too. Maybe
Yeah.
I should not hot take so hard on Butch Patrick here.
No, I mean, I'm not sticking up for that. I'm just saying that's kind of a brutal existence right there, because like literally like your entire adulthood all downhill.
I mean, we've had some here and there that are, for Hollywood or whatever. But I mean, I won't bash on them. But we'll probably never get Barnowski, so he can suck it.
There it is.
Yeah. All right, that was great. How are we doing on time, man?
We're good. We got
Yeah, we're
about 10
good.
minutes
All right,
before
cool.
it's time for a nicotine break.
Yeah, I feel the
Because
Nick's creeping up
that's
on
how
me.
that's how we run the show. It's based around our vices.
When I start
cool.
getting the shakes, that's time
Yeah.
for a break.
So
So,
tell us a little bit about, because right now, I mean, dude, the con is insane. It's at is it the Hyatt Regency?
Yeah, it's a Hyatt Regency.
Hyatt Regency at DFW Airport. Right?
oh wow!
And
I mean,
it-
that's a huge hotel.
And shout out to them because they do a
Yeah.
fucking kick-ass job. You haven't seen it yet, but like the people, like the staff will dress up as like zombies and like with like special effects makeup.
That's pretty cool.
They will
It
decorate the lobby when you
Yeah.
walk in and have like the logo of Frightmare Weekend like projected onto the floor.
Jam
like,
and
they-
Slayer in the lobby.
Yeah,
Nice.
they were literally like you walk in, you'll be hearing like South of Heaven. So they do
Very
a
cool.
killer job, and it's
That's
great.
actually really rad that they would pair up with your event to that extent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because anybody could just be like, "Yeah, fucking banquet halls in there."
But I'll tell you this, like it is as packed as it could be. Like you know, at its peak, like on a Saturday,
Saturday
like,
at 3:00, the
you
walls are
could not
shaking.
fucking squeeze one more person in that goddamn building
No
without
shit.
the whole building falling over. Like every room is rented out a year in advance. The floor is packed so tight that like sometimes you just kind of like got to elbow your way through. Like it is insane, and the con keeps getting bigger.
I'm curious.
like, where are you squeezing people at? Because it's like there's like a 12 deep line for the bathroom.
Yeah. I'm curious, what's the like cosplay scene at this thing? I mean,
Oh, it's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
yeah,
it's
no
crazy.
shit.
8-foot spiders.
No shit.
That's why it's so crowded in the lobby. is
There's
these
always
guys
like an
walking around.
alien and a predator walking around.
Yeah.
Several Michael Myers and Jasons, and there was a full like a 8-foot tall Groot walking around.
That's awesome.
And the guy had like a little voice box recorder that was just like repeating like I am Groot. Yeah, but it was they bring it.
See, I'm curious because like the comic fans will get and comic nerds can be real dickheads about shit, but like so they get a little forgiving with the cosplay. Like sometimes the cosplay is not so on point, but they're still like, "Oh, good job, buddy." And I would imagine the horror crowd is like, "Oh, yeah. That's bullshit. They did a better job in the movie with $6 and no time than you did on that costume with all summer." So I'm curious.
Maybe I mean honestly, I mean at least it's always kind of a whirlwind, right? Because it's like it as the volunteers. It's
Right.
like if you do like the full weekend thing, right? It's like so I'll show up at like 3:00 on Friday, and then you're on your feet doing shit until 7:00 on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's just like nonstop. So it's kind of a whirlwind. So it's like you'll be walking through an enormously packed room, and you're like, there's a huge like pumpkin head right over there, and then there's the jigsaw from Saw, and then all this kind of stuff, and you just kind of see it like on your peripheral vision. So you don't really get a lot of time to like stop and smell
take
the
it in.
roses.
Yeah.
But I mean everything that I see is like very positive. Like they have like a little like a mock up like a red carpet where people can just take pictures.
Oh, cool.
Like either just every day or like cosplayers. And I mean, I'm sure that you have a fair number of douchebags in the audience that are all like haters, but I mean,
That comes with any
the other
large group of people.
99% of everybody
Yeah.
there is extremely nice and just
Yeah.
like, very excited to be there. So that's one of the reasons that it's really cool to go and experience.
That is one of the cool
is
things
because
about
you're surrounded by thousands of fellow nerds that are just kind of stoked to be there. And
just as enthusiastic as you
yeah.
are about the source material.
I mean,
Absolutely.
the fans are amazing.
Yeah.
The best staff everywhere. The
Mostly
best
thanks to
hotel.
this guy, right?
I was about
here.
to say, you speak super highly of your staff, so shout out to the Frightmare volunteer staff.
Absolutely.
Mostly thanks to this guy right here. So I mean,
It takes a village.
he does,
but it
he does a
also
hell of a
takes
job.
somebody to keep the village from burning down, and I
Yeah.
take it you're that guy.
I have help, but
He's like the final line of defense. It's like when the shit has hit the fan and there's something wrong, like there's a fight or somebody needs something or there's some kind of like crazy drama, it all goes down to him.
So I'm curious, like, what would constitute crazy drama at a horror convention where everybody's running around with knives and pins
Right,
on their
yeah,
face and
axes
shit?
and machetes. And,
it's probably the safest place in the city.
It's like a giant Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
Nobody can do anything. It's
Yeah,
like,
first person starts it, it's carnage.
it's on, yeah. Pull your pocket knife
Yeah.
on me. I have 3 axes on me.
right.
But yeah, I mean it's blown up into this other thing. I mean everybody's family, even the attendees, the crowd is amazing.
That's
They
awesome.
come from all over the world.
Just jazzed to be there.
I mean, people spinning up. I remember reading this one story. This guy saved for 3 years to come from Australia,
Oh, wow.
and that's the only place he went to America is that hotel. Just flew in, did the con, went home,
Wow.
and it's like that every year. There's all over the world, South
That's so
America, freaking Canada, you name
Nice.
it.
Very nice.
Yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
I mean, and like I said, again, to go back to the genre, I mean, it's such an international genre. I mean, a lot of these characters are known worldwide. Like everybody knows Freddy Krueger, everybody knows Jason Voorhees. That's awesome that you have guys that are so dedicated to, or not even just dedicated to like the genre, but are like impressed enough by your con to do things like that, to save up for 3 years and go like, if I go to this is going to be money well spent. This is going to be a weekend and time well spent.
It's very humbling.
Yeah,
I
just
mean-
congratulations on doing such a damn good job for so long. Then, man, like maybe nobody tells you that enough.
Right? There you go.
I haven't even been to one of these yet. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, you are an admirable person, my
Well,
friend.
you'll see. You're going to be there this year.
I'm going to be there this year.
I'm going to
yeah.
drag you around, and
It's going to be super fun.
and
Super fun.
You'll get to see some of the behind the scenes stuff, and you'll kind of see you'll get addicted real quick. Let me put it to you that way. It's insanely easy to dump a whole lot of money.
Oh yeah, well, shit, you didn't. You and I were both at Housecore, but we didn't know each other back then. But I
Right.
probably, in about the first 3 hours I was there, went through about $400, and like I was like, my wife's gonna kill me because I'm not even close to done. But yeah, no, I'm very much a con nerd. I love like metal, like huge metal fests, horror fests. I love shit like that. So I'm psyched to get to meet you and to get like a unique perspective of this kind of a thing.
So, like, what do you think? Like, how many volunteers do you think there are, like, right now? What do you put in the ballpark? 30, 40?
100.
100? Yeah, that's the
Now-
I'm fucking way off.
Geez,
Now,
man.
first day you might lose some,
Yeah,
because
okay.
of whatever reason, and this
So
and that.
if
But I'm
there's-
usually 99 to somewhere right around there on my list.
If there's approximately 100 volunteers now that will work either all weekend or, like, just Saturday or just Sunday, whatever. So take us back. What was the very first Frightmare Weekend like in comparison?
Well, like I said, the first one I just did flyers, so it's like we were interacting.
First one was what year?
2006.
2006.
And it was in the Grapevine Convention Center, so it was probably
wow.
not much bigger than this building.
Yeah, I was about to say I've been in the Grapevine Convention Center. That is not a huge building.
And it was packed. It was amazing. Everybody loved it.
So you did flyers mainly that year,
Yeah.
and then the next year was the first year that you really kind of
Yeah,
worked security, I guess, essentially.
yeah, and there was like 12 of us maybe.
Yeah. So it's gone
Maybe
from
that.
12 people to 100 plus. So
That's so wild, and you've been there with them the whole time. I mean, that's crazy to me that you've literally probably dealt with every conceivable fucking problem that they could have almost at this point.
Both of my girls, my wife was pregnant through both of those. So,
No kidding?
Yeah, so they were there. I'm well invested.
Yeah, I would imagine,
So,
man.
but it's something else. I wouldn't stay with it this long if it was horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
but just like
one
like you
story after another, and then you bust your ass. I mean, these people really work their ass off at these places.
Well, it's a production. I mean, like,
it is.
You know what? It's like it's like any other thing you were doing. Like if you were doing a fucking Broadway play, it'd be kind of the same mentality. It's like there are people here to experience an event, and if we don't pull this off, they're going to have a shitty time, and then that's going to be the end of the event.
Exactly.
And it seems to me like you have done the exact opposite of that, and you guys have managed to build this thing into something to really look forward to, like one of those cornerstones in your year. We're like, fuck, man, in May I'm going to Frightmare. It's gonna be rad.
Yeah, we have people that get married there. They come for their anniversaries there. They just this is their
my wife
main
is
vacation.
So excited. My wife is a huge horror fan and just sci-fi geek, and she's just like, as soon as I was like, yeah, Tim Curry's going to be there, she's like, I'm online right now buying tickets.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, we're really looking forward to it, and it'll be my first year at Frightmare ever.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, and Carrick said he was going to buy me and my fiance tickets. So
Oh yeah, I guess I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
probably
Very-
fucking
that's very
do
generous
that.
of you.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's cool, man.
Now I fucking have to. So you said it on the
called him
radio.
out.
Hey, I thought of it first.
I like it. I like it.
Well, on that note, I'm gonna go have a cigarette and think about how I'm gonna pay for these fucking tickets.
Right? He's going to pick up some extra shifts on the phone while we're out there.
Yeah. This is Todd the Rod. What are you wearing?
But we'll be right back.
Friday, May 3rd through Sunday, May 5th. Experience the Southwest premier horror convention, Texas Frightmare Weekend, celebrating 14 years of fright. See your favorite horror film stars, childhood nightmares, and fiendish friends. Appearing will be Bruce Campbell, Tim Curry, Nancy Loomis, Cassandra Peterson, Robert Englund, Nick Castle, Jenna Jameson. Fuck my goddamn life. Motherfuck. Can I tell him? All right, sorry. Shut up, Craig. Jenna Jameson, Tracy Lords, Ted Raimi, Meatloaf, and many, many more. Tickets and more information available at www.texasfrightmareweekend.com. Don't miss it.
Hey, fellow warlords. We will actually be doing an on-site episode for Warlord Radio at Texas Frightmare Weekend 2019. We're going to be walking around the grounds, talking to people, and just kind of getting a behind-the-scenes scoop of what's going on. So please keep your eyes open for that upcoming episode. Texas Frightmare Weekend is May 3rd through May 5th of 2019, and we will be there. So please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Friendster pages.
You said it so naturally.
We are back with the Warlord Radio podcast, and we are here with our good friend Scott Reese, who is head of, I guess, security, I guess you call it, right? Of Texas Frightmare Weekend, and who's worked at numerous haunts around Texas and Kansas. So you had a question you wanted to lead off with,
I did.
right, Derek?
Right before we went on the break, I thought of a great question. And so how long have you been in charge of like hiring your volunteers?
Maybe 8 years.
So at this point, you have a pretty good idea, because you said like usually like the first day you might lose some, you might,
Yeah.
But you have a pretty good idea at this point about like who's going to stick around, like who's going to.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, just kind of
Most of them.
Yeah, nice.
Thankfully.
Oh, yeah, you definitely do see the same faces year after year. And then you also see, like, newer faces. And some of those pan out and some of them don't. But, like, I don't know, what do you think, 80%?
Yeah.
That's a pretty high success rate for what you're doing, man.
Like, stick around.
Yeah, we're truly blessed with them. I mean, they're some cool people. One girl, shout out to Kim, she had a baby and showed up the next day.
Whoa.
No shit. She could barely walk in there.
That's fucking. What did you have her do?
Well, at her job,
She's bouncing the guys without shirts
I was about to say. No, I mean, like, I'm scared of the lady who had a baby and then showed up to work security.
She was
the next
taking
day.
zero shit that day.
I'll bet. Shit. Wow, man.
The biggest, gnarliest dude is like, excuse me, man, where's the bathroom?
It's like, why are you asking me? Figure it out. I'm not your mom.
We had another one, and she had a car wreck, really bad one, probably about a week or two before, and she hobbled in there and still worked.
Wow, man.
Didn't even miss one day.
So,
dedicated.
let's give a quick shout out. Who are some of the names that have been around for a long ass time?
Billy and Kim, Bradley Harding. Mm-hmm. He's been around a long time. Deborah. Let's see.
These are all characters, by the way. When you meet them, it's an interesting crew.
I absolutely want to meet them. I can. I'm gonna have a lot of fun at Frightmare, I think.
It's one of the few times of the year that I just tell the band, I was like, I'm not playing a show this weekend.
Yeah, no, you block it off completely from everybody. You're like, we're not hanging out, nothing. I'm doing this.
Well, some of it too is like some of these people that work there, like their families there.
Yeah.
So like, Larry and his kids. So there's Larry Jr., his daughter, his wife, his ex-wife, and so on and so on. And the Freemans, there's like 6 of them now.
Do you realize how much dedication it would take to work a con with your current family and your ex-wife? Like, you really have to love what you're fucking doing.
Yeah, hats off to that because I personally can't. So, but I mean, so it's like a group of families, and we've all known each other a long time. Some of us, for 15, 20 years. Jeb and Deborah, I've known for 30 plus.
So some of these people that work with you at this thing were working on with the at the haunts and stuff with you back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
or they're like the old school group, the high school crowd, and you still hang out and do Christmas and whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they're like, hey, come and try this, and then they just don't leave.
I got to give a shout out to Abel or
Yes.
Flesh Grinder or Junior. He's known by many names, but he brought me in.
Barboza.
So, Flesh Grinder from formerly Crop Dust, now with Texas Murder Crew.
The pig-faced guy. You've seen him on our social media.
I call him
shit.
Abel. Everybody at
Yeah.
the con knows him as Junior.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I've always called him Abel.
Yeah, no. Well, me too. I think it's when you knew him. But
I didn't even know his real name for about 4 years.
yeah,
Everybody
every
called
time
him
I'm
Junior.
there and I'm like, have you seen Abel? And they're like, who? I'm like, Junior. Oh, yeah, he's over there. But anyway, he brought me in because, we were buddies beforehand, right?
Right.
And I was going to Frightmare Weekend anyway. And I was like, hey, man, you work it, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, do y'all need help? Because I would totally do that. He's like, yeah, I'll have you meet Scott. And then you meet Scott. And Scott just kind of like gave me the eye. He's like, you going to show up? It's like, yeah. He's like, all right, you're in.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. The
not
only
real
question,
hard,
are you
but-
going to show up?
yeah, I'll be there.
As long as you're not too crazy
Yeah.
or not crazy enough.
Yeah, man. I would
in.
imagine you have to find kind of a nice balance.
Yeah, there's some, we've had some that go through there, and you just kind of look at them going, yeah, this ain't going to last. Because she's like, only wants to sit with that one person and then,
Or just get their autographs and not do anything.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So
That's absolutely not why you're there, chump. Get a VIP pass.
Yeah.
but, yeah, like I said, like 90% I still get back. And then they tell somebody, and then they bring somebody. And I like to hire that way.
Man, I was literally 10 minutes outside talking to you guys about, like, I'm going as a fan the first year, but I might volunteer the second year. Like, this is fascinating what you've done. I'm glad that you came in to talk about this. I love that you're doing this. This is quite impressive to go from the Grapevine Convention Center into what you guys have turned this thing into. And so, so you run typically security and volunteers and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So how many other, I guess, kind of more like administrative people does it take to run that floor?
Oh, well, we have like, even whole different sections of like we have our line crew and we have our pickup crew. All they do is go pick them up and drop them back off, and then we have the pre-reg crew and our merchandise crew, and so everybody's
millions.
Yeah, and it almost takes that. It used to be, hey, we'll just show up and you do this and I'll do that. Now it's like you have to be organized.
If you had,
you got 7,000 people running around wondering what the fuck.
Yeah, right. So I was about to ask, like, if you had to guess, how many people would you say on staff it takes to get through a weekend of this?
Like I said, 80. We can do it with 80. And that sounds like a big number, but like one line, like a Robert England line, where you have 2 at the table.
Yeah,
probably 3 in the line, at least, and then maybe even somebody taking pictures. So
yeah, you have
one person can
80
be 5
people doing 8,000 different jobs. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah, and everybody steps up. We've never lost anybody to another con but
Yeah.
we've always gained all theirs.
Oh, nice.
So this year will be a little different. But if Fan Expo gets anybody back, it's just ones that we had that were already theirs.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
So
because you said
there's a rival con called Fan Expo,
which is kind of a pop culture con in general.
They're pulling a douche move. I'm going to call it out because they're trying to weasel in on the exact same weekend that Frightmare Weekend has staked out, which no one else has used for the last 15 years.
Yeah, I was about to say you've been doing this date for a while.
Now all of a sudden they have to do their con at the exact same time.
No, it sounds like they're trying to cash in on people in town.
They are.
Or people that were planning on coming into town anyway.
And it's unfortunate because there's people there's just guests that will want to go to both, but you can't. Right? And it's like you could fucking do the weekend before or after. But it's just they're trying to jack the hype that Frightmare has created.
I agree with that statement, actually. You see that shit all the time. But, I mean, it's once your event starts to take a certain amount of notice, and once you guys start pulling in certain numbers, like other people are going to want a piece of that pie, and at that point it's crunch time for you to kind of make sure that you make your product a little bit better, you know what I mean? So you have a hardcore 2019 ahead of you, my friend.
Oh yeah. I'm not scared. I mean, like I said, I would take this crew anywhere. Like, it didn't matter if it was a concert, anything, but the organization is like amazing. So
that's awesome, man.
I trust 90% of them with anything. I just let them do it, and
that's
it usually works
probably
out.
what, man. I'm not trying to kiss your ass here or anything, but I mean that's probably what makes you effective at your job. Is it's like, listen, you're gonna show up, you're gonna do your job. If you can't do your job, I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna get somebody in that can do the job. Like. There's too much riding on it when you're doing things like live events, live entertainments, and I would lump conventions in with that kind of, like, I would lump a convention in with like a massive music festival or something like that.
Yeah,
which that would be amazing if that happened one day.
Right,
oh, man.
Well, that is one of the things that Lloyd, who is in charge of Frightmare, Lloyd and Sue, is. They are starting to branch out. They're doing events like they have screenings that they've kind of paired up with Alamo Drafthouse,
cool,
which is like an Austin-based movie theater chain, and so they will do events like coming up in a couple of weeks. They're showing Silent Night, Deadly Night, and they're having the actor that played the Killer Santa. He's going to be there signing autographs after the screening of the movie. Like earlier in the year, they had one with My Bloody Valentine, and the guy that played the killer, he was there. So they're doing more stuff like that.
Wait, is that the one with the minor?
Yes.
Yeah, the
God, that movie's
and then the event that Carrick and I just went to with Goblin.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was sponsored by Texas Frightmare Weekend.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, they showed the entirety of and I've seen him do this before, but it's still amazing every time. But what they'll do is they'll do a full screening of the movie Suspiria, and then Goblin will play the soundtrack live as the movie's going, and then when the movie's over, they'll like do a set, and it's fucking awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So Carrick and I, and Scott was there. Carrick and I rode together. We went and we had a hell of a good time, and then we led the charge.
Good a time. I had to work the next day.
Yeah, we led the charge and got everybody up to the front of the stage when they started doing their own set of material.
We did. Did I tell you we made it onto the Goblin official like Instagram page or whatever?
Oh, that's amazing.
Because he was taking video of the audience, and Craig were like, he and I were right up front. We were the first two people up there as soon as the set started.
We just kind of looked at each other because it's like once the movie, the way that it was set up is at this venue called Gas Monkey Live, and they had a bunch of folding chairs set up, and then you could just watch the movie, and then the band was playing the soundtrack, and everybody's like very quiet and respectful and stuff like that. And then there was a bunch of us kind of standing behind that.
The metalheads, really.
But once it started where the movie was over and they're just playing their stuff, we looked at each other. We're like, "Fuck this! Let's go up to the front." And so then everybody else kind of
it was really cool because like I didn't care. We'd had enough beer to where I would have been totally comfortable being the only guy up there. I'm fine with that,
dude. I don't give a shit.
But it was awesome that everybody like got up and showed Goblin, because I mean that was a hell of an event. It was executed very, very well. Of course, have you seen Goblin live at this point?
That was the first time.
Oh, okay. It was a great show though, wasn't it? I mean, it was. They obviously know what the hell they've been doing. They've been doing this for a minute, but I mean, it was just you don't get a full-on production like that all the time when you buy concert tickets.
No.
And so, I mean, that was one of the better concerts I've seen in a long time. Probably since the last time I saw Goblin do it.
But anyway, Frightmare was paired with Gas Monkey.
I had no idea that was a Frightmare event.
So I guess the point is that they're branching out. Is that
Cool.
it's the con is the backbone, and then they're doing more.
Awesome.
So,
Well, if they ever need metal bands, Diesel Beast we work cheap. We work cheap. We'll work for fucking
PBR.
Cooler Ranch Talkies and beer.
it worked for PBR at a small bar in Southern
Whataburger.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, Whataburger, that's a bonus, my friend. We usually have to pay for our own Whataburger.
Right? That's living large right there.
Totally.
You know, we as metalheads, we have very low standards as far as payout is
Oh
concerned.
man, are you kidding? That is after a life of having sand kicked in your teeth every day. Yeah, just like, what did I tell you? I told you one time I got paid in muscle relaxers and cold French fries.
There you go.
I was happy to take that payment, man. But all right, man. So what are there? Is this pretty much like the set bill for 2019, or do you guys still have more in the bag, or is there?
Oh yeah, there's still more.
This is not a very big flyer, even though there's a shitload of names on it.
Well, this was like a promo flyer because we don't really do flyers a whole lot anymore.
Right.
So this was to sneak peek some stuff when we did the Halloween thing too when the Halloween movie came out.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
were out there at the Alamo in Richardson doing that one. So, and that was really cool.
I have not seen the new Halloween yet. I heard mixed reviews. What'd you think?
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was like better than 4, 5, and 6 and 12 or whatever they got up to.
Fair enough.
H2O.
Right.
The one where Buster Rhymes almost beat Michael Myers' ass. That was the weirdest shit.
Wasn't that
was a
LL
low
Cool
point.
J?
That was a low point.
Buster Rhymes.
Oh, Buster Rhymes was in one too.
Well,
Man,
LL Cool J was in another one.
Wait, really?
yeah,
LL Cool J was in H2O,
yeah.
which is a fucking stupid name for a goddamn movie. But anyway,
Like, unless your movie is about water, what are you doing?
and then the sequel to H2O was Halloween Resurrection, and that's the one that Busta Rhymes was in.
Where he drop kicked Michael Myers out a window, and I was just like, wait,
Fucking terrible.
what is happening here?
Fucking terrible.
That's not the point, though. You love it because you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we show a lot of good movies. We even show first runs there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that'll go through us, and they don't hit anywhere first, and they're actually some of them pretty good right now.
We're at a point right now because I think the accessibility to get your shit out there is a little bit easier as far as like just distributing your own art is a little bit easier. So we're actually in this like almost golden era of like these indie horror flicks where like some of them that are coming out are like really fucking good, like better than blockbuster movies that are coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm not even just talking about in the horror or like they're better in the horror genre. I'm talking like this is a better flick than this fucking Marvel movie that came out or whatever.
Right.
Like The Witch. I just watched The Witch. I found out the budget of that was like muscle relaxers and cold French fries.
Yeah, essentially, it's like the catering budget on a Marvel movie.
Essentially,
or
less
really.
than the catering budget. And The Witch is literally probably one of my favorite movies right now. I loved that movie so much that I want to throw away other movies so I can buy more copies of The Witch.
It was great. I took my wife and we saw it at the theater. And
Yeah.
I think there was like 10 people in the theater.
It wasn't a huge
And I was like,
release.
this is awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't, when you look at like, especially, I think it was a summer movie too.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was a fall movie. Like, it was competing with blockbusters. You know what I mean? Like legitimate, like multi-million
Avengers
dollar.
stuff.
Yeah. Avengers 27 Jump Street starring Ice Cube and Ice-T and Vanilla Ice.
That actually sounds better than a lot of what's actually coming out, what you just described.
I don't know. I don't watch movies that weren't imported from Hungary lately or some shit. It's been very strange for me over at my house.
Yeah, I could tell you like anything you want to know about like super underground, like crazy horror
Well, and
movies.
you've introduced me to a lot in the
But
last
then
few
there's like
months.
vast swaths of popular culture. It's like, oh, I couldn't, I don't know.
That's true. We all have our niche, man. And none of mine involve anything that gets you laid.
So who?
I'm sure wizard metal is good. Right?
Wizard metal, it does all right.
Yeah, yeah.
So who would you want to meet? Like if you had a
Oh,
wish list.
shit, man. That's a really good question. Because Cassandra Peterson for sure and Bruce Campbell, which is why I'm
There you
going
go.
to
After we
Frightmare.
cross those off your list, what would be high up there? Is there like even for like fantasy?
I'd
stuff,
I'd like to meet Bill Moseley, just because I've been a fan of that guy since before I even really knew who he was.
Yeah, cool guy.
I would see him and stuff, and I'm just like, man, that actor is awesome. And then even if we're crossing into other genres, man, like I want to meet fucking Michael Biehn. I want to meet the guy that played Beastmaster.
Yeah,
I'd like to meet shit. David Carradine's dead, and we all know why. Hey man, you do you. You gotta die of something, I guess.
He kind of did.
No, but yeah, like Cassandra. If I'm going like, because I get nostalgic, right?
Yeah,
I get real nostalgic. So it'd be people like Cassandra Peterson, Robert Englund, Bruce Campbell. Like a lot of the list that's on this tonight. Like a Beastmaster for sure. I was a huge fan of fucking Xena and Hercules when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I got to meet Lucy Lawless, and she was, first off, way more beautiful in real life than she ever was on any screen I ever saw. I can't explain exactly how that was, but she like took my fucking breath away when I saw her in real life. She's got these crystal blue eyes that stare directly into the back of my existence. And I must have babbled like an idiot. I had to have. I don't know what I said. I blacked out and said some shit to Lucy Lawless, got a hug, and then walked away. It was not cool at all. And then I really wanted to meet Kevin Sorbo, and then I followed his punk ass on Twitter, and now I don't want to meet Kevin Sorbo. He's like a fucking weird Christian Scientist, like Holocaust denier and shit. And I'm like, man, why, Twitter? Why did you have to let me know? This guy could have just been crazy by himself. I didn't need to know this shit about him.
He can just be Hercules.
So
that is some of it when you get to meeting some of them. Sometimes it's better.
Yeah,
before
I would imagine,
but most of them are seriously really cool people, just like everybody else. So you get a green M&M person once in a while, you know, but you know, for the most part, I'm really lucky.
Yeah,
I mean, got some stories. You know, you said Bill Moseley. He held my oldest girl. I was walking around with her, and he said, "Give me that baby." So. He sat around holding my oldest kid, John. Man, when we had John Carpenter,
I was just about to judge you for just handing your baby to Bill Moseley
Bill
after
Moseley,
you said that.
So.
But I mean, like, I don't think I would.
Tell me you
any
wouldn't.
different.
Tell me you wouldn't.
It's exactly what I'm sitting here thinking. I'm like, if Bill Moseley just walks like, "Give me that baby," I'd be like, "Yes, sir." I guess I got to go make another one.
Moseley's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's awesome. But he's one of those guys where I don't feel like he gets enough credit for the acting that he does.
No, right.
There's such character differentiation.
I would say that's pretty true for the vast majority of them. Is once they get kind of successful, you know, in the genre, right? Is they'll get typecast because that's what happens, and then it's just like, oh, you know, they're just Freddy Krueger, or they're just Pinhead, or they're just whoever. And I mean, and that goes back all the way to like Bela Lugosi, like Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
But to be able to pull that off, you have to be fantastic at your craft.
Yeah.
In a way that mainstream actors aren't.
Even if you look at somebody like a Bruce Campbell, for instance, like Bruce Campbell, if we're going to be super honest, he plays Bruce Campbell in everything. Everything he's ever done, he plays basically the same character, but he has honed that character down to such an iconic entity,
right,
that you can insert that character in any scenario.
Sure.
And I mean, that's part of the craft, in my opinion.
But and you could also say the same thing about every single superstar ever. I mean, is that any different from Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
Right.
No, in fact, Arnold Schwarzenegger is probably a worse example of that.
Except Tom Cruise, because he's like totally somebody different. I'm joking here. He's the same guy.
Yeah, Tom Cruise. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like the personalities, right? Where it's like it's a recognizable personality or whatever.
Yes, and if you think about it, he's essentially Bugs Bunny. That's what Bruce Campbell is. He's
they all end up just doing like variations on that theme.
But then you get dudes like Bill Moseley, where I mean, like Chop Top and Otis Firefly, while there are definitely similarities between those characters, those are vastly
they're very different.
different motivations.
Oh,
and,
yeah, no,
you know,
absolutely. I only meant in the case of like Bruce Campbell, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like the put down would be like that he's doing the same role every time, and it's like, okay, fair enough. But if you're going to have that standard,
Or is he
you're-
created
you're-
such a character that's so fucking iconic that you need him to tell your story?
No, I agree. Like I'm in favor. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that the comeback to that is like if you're going to be that way, if you're going to say
Yeah.
that someone is just doing the same thing over and over again, kind of like if someone is going to say that AC/DC just does the same thing over and over again, or if Black Sabbath
All
just
the
does
way
the
to the
same thing
bank.
over and over again, it's like, but okay, but aren't you also erasing like every major star out there? Because like really, like how different is any major star doing any of their performances? The whole reason that they're a huge star is because they're doing something recognizable.
Yeah, there are very few cases where people I feel truly get recognized.
And
for...
there totally are people that like just disappear like a chameleon into their role.
Yes,
right?
like a
But-
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, but that's something different. Like
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. That's
It's a
totally
completely different
awesome.
method of
Yeah, but
approaching
like
it.
just as far as like the personality is like being a personality is every bit as legit if you're an underground horror personality as if you're the biggest fucking actor on the planet.
I agree. No, I absolutely agree. And your Arnold Schwarzenegger argument's like really kind of perfect for that because I mean, there was a time in the '90s where Arnold Schwarzenegger was the biggest actor on the fucking planet.
And I love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, I know.
I
This is
love
not
his
to
movies.
disparage
Yeah,
future president
in
Arnold
no-
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
no
no
shit.
way am I saying anything negative about him. I'm just trying to point out.
But he knows that about himself.
Yeah.
You know what? He makes fun of it all the time. Like he knows he wasn't a fucking. That was the main difference between him and Sylvester Stallone. Is Sylvester Stallone tried to be an actor.
well, but he,
It didn't work out as
But you know,
well as
like-
he wanted it to.
and I understand your point, and I don't want to get too far in a rabbit hole, but I do want to say that if you look at Stallone's body of work, is Stallone wrote Rocky.
It's much more impressive than Schwarzenegger's. I will give you that.
he's an actual he's a good writer.
He
like,
is.
Like yeah, I mean, look, he's done some goofy shit, like no doubt, but he's done some good shit.
No, he has,
Like-
absolutely.
Like he's come up with iconic characters. And it's like he's done
Still doing them.
some real.
Yes.
He's done good
Yeah, for
dramatic
sure.
work that's not as
I
recognized
think
as Rocky. But
what I
it's
wasn't
still out
saying.
there.
I wasn't saying that like Stallone is completely
No, I know.
without
I
talent.
just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
That actually is that of the major like action stars. If you go to like you got like Bruce Willis and Arnold, like basically like any of the Expendables, right? Like,
Right,
Like,
yeah.
If you go to any of those and look them up, as good as they might be, like just as far as like skill and craft, like Stallone is the best because
Yeah.
Stallone is actually a guy that has written a large number of the roles that he's done,
Mm-hmm.
that he's directed a large number of the roles that he's done, and he's actually a creative force as opposed to just being the guy that can blow shit up.
Yes, and I will give you that. But my point with Stallone, I think, was more that like he's not recognized
No,
for that.
for sure. And like I said, I wasn't disagreeing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there,
And on another note, the most legit expendable, Chuck Norris.
right?
He's the most legit.
Actually, I'm going to say this. I was in a karate class when I was a kid.
because he could fight.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was one of
He
the
was-
only
he
ones
was
who
actually
could
like a
really
real
fuck
fighter
you
as
up.
I was
opposed to
I was
just a
in a
movie
karate
fighter.
class when I was a little kid, and my instructor had a free spar with Chuck Norris at one of our tournaments, and Chuck Norris beat the shit out of my instructor. He had this thing where he could, because he had real long legs. Chuck Norris, real tall guy, and he would wrap his foot around the head of my instructor. I can't even remember this guy's name now, but like he would wrap his leg around to where like right where his ankle and his calf connect, or not his calf, his shin in the front of his foot. He would wrap that around the side of the guy's head and then tap him in the back of the head with the top of his toe. And it was the fuck. Who does that? Who even invents a kick like that? Like that? Is that even effective in a fight? Or are you just pissing people off?
Right?
Anyway, that was enough about. That's my rant of Chuck Norris. So, what other kind of things can you expect at Frightmare other than just like awesome lines? Like, what kind of vendors do you guys get in? Do you get a lot of like fan art or things like that? Or I mean, like
Fan art, toys,
Funkos and shit.
Yeah, oh yeah, Mondo, all their
Yeah.
posters. That's insane. That's like a rock star themselves right there.
I would imagine.
No, they come up with like
The collectible
sick
community
designs
is
for
fucking
posters.
insane. It's nuts.
So sometimes it depends on who's there. So we'll probably get some puzzle boxes a lot if it's if it's Hellraiser type theme and paintings. There's a lot of art there. Where we have a guy doing tattoos there.
Cool.
Hard tats.
Dude, can we do a sequence on the show where I get a Frightmare Weekend tattoo? 'Cause
Yes.
I'll do that on camera easy.
Oh yeah,
Fuck
I'll do it.
All right.
Yeah, I actually got a Frightmare tattoo.
You just have to
Did
get it
you?
on your
Yeah.
forehead.
Where's it at?
It's on my ankle.
It's on your ankle. Yeah, I want to see it. Totally want to see it.
Yours has to be on your forehead though. That's the only way we'll
If you
put
think
it
I
on.
won't get a tattoo on my forehead, you are wrong. That's dope as shit.
So
you guys
the-
aren't seeing this.
So,
It's like
so the logo is the state of Texas in red that's got a skeleton hand reaching out over the state of Texas. That's kind of the Frightmare logo.
that is fucking cool, man. So who's your tattoo artist? Is it the same guy or is it?
No, I had this done before I moved back.
Okay,
down here,
right on.
But yeah, I've been wanting to do it for years. Finally got around to it. So I guess I'm a lifer.
Hey,
I
man.
guess.
Yeah,
I can
at
think
this-
of
at
I
this
can think
point-
of worse things to dedicate yourself to.
Oh.
For sure, you're doing a good job. I'm so fucking like I've told him this earlier. Like I'm having such a hard time asking him questions because I'm like I want to know everything about your job.
Well, we were talking. One of the things I think that would be useful is for Jason and Carrick to go
Yes.
to the con, and then we do a follow-up episode where we can talk up about it, because then you'll have some context as to see what's
So
going
actually,
on.
do us a favor. Go when you're doing our social media thing and you're listening to this. Just write in Warlord or hashtag Warlord Frightmare and just tag the fuck out of that until like they have to let us in.
There you go.
Friday night we have a party.
Okay.
It's like kind of like a prom deal, but usually it's costume.
Cool.
We theme it to some of the guests. Last year we had 6 of the Jasons, so we was all Friday the 13th stuff. So
That'd be kind of cool if you could get it to where like you and a bunch of your friends just dress like different iterations of Jasons from different Friday the 13th movies.
Do you have a favorite Friday the 13th?
Ooh. Which one's the one where he's in space? No, I'm just kidding.
Freddy versus Jason.
everybody hates that movie, but they still watch the shit out of it.
They really do. When that lady's nipples fall off, that is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Jason, do you?
I gotta
I
go
think
with the
it's
first one.
Two.
First
The
one? Two?
first one.
Yeah.
Scott?
Two.
Same. We have a consensus here. Kind
Except
of.
for
First one's really
No,
good.
no,
I,
first,
first
I like
one's
the
very
first
good.
one just
first one's great.
because of the whole scene with the arrow going through her neck.
Right?
Yeah.
That always stuck with me. So I'm just like, yeah.
That's
a
again
good
one of those visceral practical effects that just don't fucking leave you
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. But yeah, it's probably two.
First one's cool. It's the mom. It's not who you think it is.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
good
blah.
twist.
But the second one, I mean, he goes on a hacking spree, and the whole pillowcase with the one eye, and
Yep.
and he's got his homage to her.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his
Like his little
shrine,
shrine,
with his
yeah.
dead mama's head on it. I mean,
It's just fucking.
that's
so,
awesome.
It's,
In
yeah,
the
it's metal
early
as
80s,
fuck.
it's like 82 or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
And that was like, dude, 'cause you keep in mind, this
81
is,
maybe. Yeah.
there was this point in history between like probably about 83 and about 96 that is referred to as the Satanic Panic, where all like the house moms in America got real fucking uppity, and all of a sudden everything was the devil, and Hollywood played off that so hard, and you got some of the best fucking horror flicks out of it. And that's kind of where that shrine thing, that's why that's such effective imagery, as you look at that and you're like, oh shit, that's on some next level stuff.
Actually, our party this year, we had the inside of the cabin with the shrine, so you could go get your
Cool.
photo op done with the head and. The
Oh, you better
bodies
believe
around.
I'd do that.
So we're not sure what next year will be yet. So
You got
It
me
could
so
be.
fucking psyched out for Frightmare
Yeah.
Weekend. Now I want it to be May.
I can actually wait about a week or two, then I'm ready.
Right,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
still reeling off last May. How long does it take you to recover from this shit after you're
There's
done with
definitely
the
a
weekend?
hangover.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, and then you go through the blues. So that's about a week or so after. And, I don't know. I'm feeling normal maybe a month afterwards.
So do you like? Do you just do haunts and cons and shit like this, or do you have like?
Oh, I still have to eat.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
So you have like a job like the rest of us do, and it's just like it. Fuck, again, it's going to sound like I'm kissing your ass, but for you to dedicate so much time and energy into something like this and pour so much into it and then, like, still pay your rent and feed your kids and all that good shit, it's just, Hats off to you, sir.
I appreciate it.
This is no small task.
Right?
You know what they say? If it doesn't feel like work, then it's not, or whatever that says.
Hey man, yeah,
So-
no, I get, yeah. If what is it? If it doesn't feel like if you do what you love, you'll
Yeah.
never work a day in your life.
That's it.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. Because no, it still feels like work.
I love being in a band, but there's a lot of times it feels like work.
Oh fucking A, dude.
Amen.
It's
Yeah.
a sharp, Wyatt.
And I love it, right? And I love doing Frightmare, and it's a lot of fun meeting people and stuff like that. But there's times it fucking feels like a lot.
Just
of work.
we live
It
in
is
a
a
kind
lot
of
of
we live in a little bit of a it's kind of a weird time right now where everybody's taking things very 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 seriously. Some of these things should have definitely be taken seriously. There's a lot that requires people's immediate attention,
right?
but at the same time, it is really nice to get to dedicate your life to things that like fulfill you.
Right.
You know, it's not like you're just going through the motions. Like, you're obviously not doing this because you want to get rich and famous doing Frightmare Weekend. You're doing this because you love it.
Yeah.
You know, you're obviously, we're not doing Diesel Beast because we're looking for cash. We're doing This Is a Labor of Love,
Get
sing
outta
the
here.
Silver Tongue Devil. I mean,
I
it's
totally picked you guys for the
Oh, yeah?
the limo crowd. Limos of cocaine.
Yeah.
What's the cocaine?
Somebody has a Lamborghini on the parking lot.
I know,
Who's that
yeah,
guy?
yeah.
It's
Don't
not
give me
us.
that shit. Don't give me that shit.
We stole that, man. We're going to sell it for beer money.
I mean, you know, overall, I mean, it's the best weekend of the year.
Nice.
Absolutely. Everybody, you know, commits a lot to it. They take their vacations, you know, they take days off. They got to find a babysitter.
I'm gonna.
You know, so.
Are you not planning on taking Jack? Because I feel like he would freak out in a good way.
I don't know yet,
Right.
because Jack is weird. We're like, there's shit that I'm just like, I have a 5-year-old boy, and there's shit that I show him.
Do
That
you name
just,
him after The Shining?
Actually, I named him after the cop from that show, Eureka,
Okay.
because I'm that big of a nerd. But there's shit that I show him where it just rolls off his back, like he doesn't give a shit. And there's other stuff where I'm like, that's not scary, and it will fucking freak him out.
Sure.
So I have no idea, because he loves. Have you ever heard of Five Nights at Freddy's?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of it, but I don't know what
Kids
Okay.
are all into this big time.
No,
Okay.
Chubb, because
Mine are.
as a horror,
it's a game, right?
it is a game, but I mean, like, there are some genuinely pretty scary images and shit coming out of this game. I mean, like, as an adult, I mean, obviously we're not crying in our covers, but like, this shit's
I get you.
geared at 9-year-olds
Twisted,
and shit.
right, yeah, yeah.
And it's twisted, and like, it's kind of fucked up, and he's just like, oh, that's cool. Or there's this whole series called Bendy and the Ink Machine.
Yeah.
That's essentially, it's Mickey Mouse, but he was summoned by the devil.
Yeah, it's something else.
Like, Bendy and the Ink Machine is some dark shit. There's pentagrams all over this game.
Yeah, people trying to kill you in it. I mean,
Yeah.
like it. I mean, and the graphics are amazing, and
Yeah,
it's
they-
all black and white.
They become. It looks like an old Steamboat Willie cartoon
Yeah,
almost.
rad.
But it's like you go into the animation studio to find out the mystery of Bendy or whatever it is, and all of a sudden, all these ink demons start being summoned from hell by this fucking maniacal Mickey Mouse come to life. He loves it. He's just like, I want the toys. And then at the same hand, I tried to show him Secret of Nim the other day. He had nightmares for 3 fucking days. Like,
Nice. That one was twisted. I can tell you another one that freaked me out as a little kid was Watership Down.
Watership Down. I thought,
Such a
okay,
good book, though.
it is.
Oh yeah,
Such
that's
a
great.
good book.
It's great, and I love it now. But as a kid,
I
that
thought about
freaked me out.
showing him Watership Down, so like my wife and I were like, let's watch it first, and then we'll just go from there. We watched it as adults. I'm like, nope, this movie's still just fucking disturbing as hell. It's like, we're gonna give this one a couple of years.
All right.
So you mentioned you've got a couple of kids. Like, what do they think of all of the horror and the blood and guts and the?
Well, they've actually, I mean, you know, they're both ways, you know, and,
Yeah.
and I used to take, you know, other kids through my haunted houses. So
Oh, yeah.
if you go through with the lights on and all, you know, they see something hanging in the hallway, they get a little EBGB. But,
Yeah,
But, and they definitely won't go through if there's people in there.
yeah.
But Frightmare, I've walked them through there, and they laugh at the dinosaurs with the carrying axes, and you know, because there's always somebody in a dinosaur suit.
Yeah.
And they don't really freak out on the live stuff.
That's cool.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
Man, we won't know until they're
we'll
adults.
find out
Yeah.
later. I mean, my mom my mom bought my first Kiss album. It's Kiss Alive 2.
Nice.
Yeah,
And here I am.
Nice.
So I don't know if that's...
my dad introduced me. I was probably my son's age, 5 or 6, and when my dad gave me my first CD, and it was or not a CD, it was a fucking cassette tape, and it was the first Black Sabbath album.
Yeah.
And I have said this
yes.
on this podcast so many times. I've said this in my regular life and on other interviews so many times. The first 3 notes of Black Sabbath, that tritone, that that shit changed my life.
Yeah.
It
Well, you and millions of others.
it informed everything about me. It is why my walls in my house are covered in skulls and shit.
Yeah.
It is why 90% of my clothes are black.
Yeah.
It is just like and this is my father, and because my father's an old rocker, he's hell of a bass player. Shout out to Bone Doggy.
Bone Doggy.
But it's so weird to think that like my dad, he got swept up in the satanic panic a little bit too, because he wouldn't let me watch Smurfs because he thought Gargamel was a dark wizard.
Funny aside,
It gives me
me and my buddy Brian, when we were kids, he had the LP of Motley Crue Shout at the Devil that had, when you open it up, it had the great big pentagram on the inside. And then also Stay Hungry by Twisted Sister. And his parents made him burn the LPs. Like literally
Hungry, really?
take them out to the griller.
Oh my god!
And set them on fire
No,
because they were an evil influence. And we would like sit in his room and listen to that. And then also Black Sabbath, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll.
They did that shit in
good
this
album.
town. We had we used to have like a Better Baptist Bureau, for lack of a better term, I guess, that did a bunch of that shit in the 90s. And what was funny is my parents weren't really into it because my parents were kind of artsy, kind of hippies. They didn't really give a fuck about any of that. But I was,
And your mom's a witch.
and my mom's a witch.
Was she back then?
She was still a witch. She just wasn't an out witch.
Gotcha.
She's
Okay.
always been a witch. It's just been the last like 5 or 6 years where she's been like out about
She's
being
like, fuck
a witch.
it, I'm a witch.
Because she's been a witch my entire life.
Rad. Shout out to witches.
Yeah, shout out to witches. But I remember I had a friend of mine that got all swept up in it. What I had the Dr. Feelgood album, right?
Yep.
And he was like, you got to burn it. You got to burn it, man. You got to burn it. You got to burn it. And I was like, yeah, man, totally burn it. Yeah, sure. And what I did is I pulled the fucking Motley Crue album out and stuck like a Carpenter's album or like a Peter, Paul, and Mary album in there or
Dude,
some shit.
Carpenter's are satanic as shit.
I know, though. That's what I'm sitting here like. Peter, Paul, and Mary sang about way
Dude,
more
if
magic.
you backward max that shit, like, you would definitely summon some demons.
For sure. But yeah, I remember distinctly like hiding the Motley Crue. I mean, it wasn't even for my parents. It was so my friend wouldn't think that I like wussed out on him. And now it's this like the same guy. I'd be like, fuck you. Give me your albums.
Right?
You burn those, I'm going to punch you in the face. That's a fucking first edition, man.
That shit cost me money.
It did, man.
There is lots of people who bring their kids there, so it is.
Oh, yeah.
It is pretty kid friendly. It's
Totally.
kind of awesome. There's always at least 20 strollers pushing around that thing.
We all grew up in it. Like, my kid has a pretty healthy knowledge of death metal for a 5-year-old at this
Right.
point. Like, he knows who Cannibal Corpse is.
So
knows
he's
who
not
that-
a poser.
He's not. Well, he's not a poser because he'll tell you that he doesn't like it. Straight
Okay.
up. He knows it, but he'll be like, nah, I'm going to go listen to fucking electronica or whatever. And that's what makes my kid punk rock. He's just like, fuck you, Dad. I don't give a shit about your music, old man. I'm like, oh, I'm that guy now.
Right? Playing grandpa's guitars.
Playing grandpa's guitars. But I don't know, man. Like, it's weird. And I'm assuming that you at least listen to some heavy metal.
Oh, yeah.
From time to
Oh,
time.
yeah, dude. I drug him to the Goathor Venom show.
Oh, was that awesome?
That was right when I got here.
And he's
Nice.
been to a number of our shows, and he's seen Crop Dust play and everything like that. So
Very
he just
cool.
hasn't seen us play with you guys yet.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, man. Then you've ducked a few because we played with Silver Tongue Devil
Like once or twice.
once or twice, I think. You guys keep taking us places with you.
And it's normally a drunken blur.
It is
Most
weird.
recently, Ada, Oklahoma,
I
which we drank all their beers.
am very adept at connecting with the locals. And by it means I'll drink whatever they brought in their car.
Yeah.
And that's how I communicate with fans.
Free beer.
Yeah, it's not always beer. Sometimes
Moonshine?
I wish that was the thing. We were playing in Lawton.
Yep.
Is it Lawton?
Yep.
Have
The
you ever been
Railhead.
out to the Railhead in Lawton, Oklahoma?
I've been to Lawton, but I haven't been there.
The Railhead is cool because it's like a legit, like, unchanged 80s metal dive bar. Like, the lady that's been running that place has been running it since fucking Judas Priest was, like, putting out albums every week.
Yeah, shout out to Kay.
Shout out to Kay for sure.
Who's awesome.
She was awesome, and she took very good care of us. And the locals are great, but, man, we got there, and these guys showed up to fucking party like the crowd did. And at one point, I end up outside, and this dude just hands me a mason jar full of clear liquid.
Uh-oh.
And it was at that point in the night where it was like, put up or shut up. Fucking drink it or don't. And, man, it tasted like jet fuel. It went down like hairspray. And the next thing I remember was waking up on Rogan's couch like the next morning. I completely blacked out like a 4-hour van ride home. I don't know how I did that. But, yeah, shout out to Lawton, Oklahoma. You guys are super fun.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, some of the best bars smell like piss and old beer.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm not big on the super trendy like Mart. I want a shitty jukebox and stickers everywhere and exposed brick. I like that stuff.
So we're here in Dallas, and everybody has to have a Pantera story. And Scott's got a pretty good Pantera story. Tell us about the time that you met Vinnie Paul.
Yes.
we had our haunted house at the State Fair, so we
Cool.
was in the Coliseum, and one of my actors ran off, so I was standing out front, kind of looking for him because we had a beer tent out front, so that's kind of where you'd find him sometimes. So I'm standing.
Get back to work, asshole.
Yeah, I'm like, where'd this guy go? So we're standing out there, just kind of watching the crowd, and I see this guy walking by, and I'm like, man, that's either Vinnie Paul or it's somebody that really loves Vinnie Paul.
Yeah, that's always how it is when you see somebody that looks that extreme.
Right?
Yeah,
You're like, that guy's either the real deal or that guy's biggest fan.
Yeah. I mean, his beard cuts and the whole 9 yards. I'm standing there watching. I'm like, holy shit, that is him. So I didn't go run over there or nothing. He's there with his girlfriend or whatever at the time. And
Honestly, knowing Vinnie Paul is probably just the stripper that gave him a ride there.
yeah, this is 2000.
Then I'm gonna go ahead. It is definitely the stripper that gave him a ride there.
And so he goes and walks off, and I was like, man, anyway. So I start walking around, and then I actually see him. He's sitting right by the cotton bowl over there, and he's eating. So I just said, fuck it. And I just walked up to him, and I said, hey, man, I'm running this haunted house over there. If you want to go in, just go tell the door guy, and I'll tell him it's cool. And he was like, "Is it any good?" And I said, "Well, it's not as good as Phil. Phil used to run a haunted house out in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I said maybe it's not as good as that." And he said, "Well, fuck him anyway."
I cannot tell you how many people in my life have just been like, "Fuck Phil Anselmo."
I mean, Pantera. We all love Pantera.
We all do love Pantera,
but this was this was pretty harrowing times. It was Damage Plan.
That's so he would have been
So
very
it was-
much fuck
yeah.
Phil.
So Dimebag was still alive at the time.
Yep.
Yeah. So I went and told my people, hey, he might be coming in, and the next thing I know, he was in. The door guy was supposed to tell me.
Oh shit!
So he dropped the ball. So he was already halfway through the haunt before I even knew it. So I caught him coming out, and he had fun and all things and all this stuff. And I said, would you care if you got a picture with our crew leaders? He was like, yeah, no problem. Walked in the back.
That's cool as fuck.
They have like these offices in the back of it. So one of them I was actually semi living in because we didn't leave.
Yeah.
And so he's back there, and he's like, yeah, this is where we hung out and got fucked up, 'cause we used to, I think a couple of times they jammed there.
Well, they
I know I
toured
saw 'em
when they
once
toured
there.
Cowboys from Hell and Vulgar Display of Power. Those were like major arena tours.
Yeah, and so he got our picture, like thumbs up and all this. I gave him my card, and then he goes, I'm gonna come back with the other guys.
Oh wow!
So I was like, cool. And of course, we know about a month after that was Dimebag's murder. So
what was messed up is I've met Vinnie Paul just being around Dallas and being around the metal scene. Like I've actually met the dude like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
The first time I met him, he was super cool. And then again, like kind of like you, is about like 2 or 3 months later, Dimebag got shot. And then, like, you couldn't. He was scared. I mean, like, and I don't blame him. I don't fucking blame him. It totally. I mean, his brother was murdered on stage. Like, what do you do with that?
That's not something you get over.
It's not. And what was weird is I ran into him again, like right after that, And I'm sure, like, he had been getting, sorry about your brother, or hey, brother. And, and not to mention just strangers coming up and talking to him about this shit all the fucking time. And we were up at Reno's, actually. And he was sitting at the bar, and I just kind of walked by, and I just kind of, like, nodded to him, and he nodded back, and I was just like, sorry to hear it. And he was like, thanks, brother. And that was, like, the extent of it. That was it. But then the time after that, he recognized me. Because I've got this giant fucking Viking tattoo on my arm.
Okay. That's
like real distinct looking. And he's like, hey, man, I remember that tattoo. You were at Reno's, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, hey, was I a dick? Because apparently he was kind of drunk. And like I said, it was like right after the whole Dimebag thing. And this was a couple of years later. I was surprised he recognized me. And I was just like, no, man, you weren't a dick. And he's like, I kind of feel like I was being a dick. Let me buy you a drink. So we took a shot of whiskey, and then that was the last time I saw him. And then I guess it was about, 4 or 5 months ago. Not even that long ago. But he recently passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, in that kind
R.I.P.
of R.I.P., man, that the Abbott brothers are gone, and Phil Anselmo, we can't get that motherfucker onto a helicopter.
I'm expecting a lot of Pantera shit now.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Well, Phil has actually been with one of his
The
side
Illegals.
projects. He's been performing kind of
Tributes.
Pantera greatest hits at the last few shows.
Yeah.
Which is nothing
he's on 'em.
wrong with that. We actually know, Alex, our guitar player who's in the Pitbulls.
Yeah.
Phil's drummer and now his bass player are both, I guess, kind of former Pitbulls. But we know who they are. Very nice dudes. And they're out on tour with him, and they're performing Pantera classics with Phil.
That's awesome. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, the Pitbulls, are they international or just DFW?
No, it's just Dallas.
We've got this group of dudes. They're great, but they police the pits around here, and they're called the Pitbulls, and you'll fucking see them coming.
Yeah.
They are not shy.
So they're a mosh group. Started by Dave Campos. Shout out to Dave.
Shout out to Dave.
And they've been around for, man, I'm gonna fucking fuck this up, but I'm gonna guess in the neighborhood of 20 years.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd say at
And,
least 20 years.
The guitar player in my band is a member of the Pitbulls, and what they are is they're just literally men and women that go to shows, both national and local, to support, and they mosh, and that's the whole deal. Is that when you go to a show, you have to mosh. So it's not like a gang where they're like beating up people. Actually, it's kind of the opposite, where it's like if you see Pitbulls at a show, they will kind of keep order, because if someone's drunk and getting out of line, well, they will get him out of there.
Which I have seen a couple of times. And what's
Yeah.
funny is, it's not like some violent graphic scene. It's like they swarm the dude, and then you don't see the dude again.
Yeah.
It
So-
is very weird.
Yeah. So they're great people, and I'm friends with a bunch of them.
Yes, they're
So,
very nice. They've been out to several shows, and they...
big supporters of the Pitbulls. But yeah, so it's like a couple of former members of the Pitbulls are now playing with Phil's band.
Yeah, which is awesome. And I mean, like... I understand they're doing the Pantera tribute thing, and there's a lot of people out there like crying foul about it. But I think that's kind of stupid. It's like, first off, there's never going to be a Pantera reunion.
Nor should there be.
No, there really shouldn't.
Yeah.
And this is the best you're going to get. And like, this is very possibly, because we all know Phil Anselmo. If he's doing this for some reason in his head, and he doesn't give a fuck what you think about it anyway.
Right.
So I mean, you might as well just fucking enjoy the songs.
Yeah.
I truly feel that way.
he's on them.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
is.
he helped write them. He was in
Damn
the band.
straight. He was the front man
the
for
guy,
Pantera for 2 decades almost.
Yeah.
Was it even that long?
I don't think it was quite that long. I mean, I know that they had, and honestly, the real expert would be Deb, who's who's actually part of the Frightmare crew.
Okay.
So who Scott
Shout out to
knows
Deb.
from
Shout out
way
to Deb.
back but Deb has all kinds of stories of like knowing Pantera well back in the day when they were a club band.
Yeah, I
Like
got
before Cowboys from Hell.
one of my old
Joe
guitar
Swaraj,
players. Yeah, back when he was
so when they had their original singer and all that kind
and
of
he
stuff.
was Diamond Daryl Abbott. Was that
yeah,
it?
that's
Daryl.
right. Yeah.
Because I used to work with a guitar player. I was in a blues band a while back that knew them when they were all kids.
Yeah.
And like he had all these pictures in this photo album of like Dime and Vinny just all glammed up with like furry vests and glitter and shit.
Oh
in
yeah,
their hair.
there was Van Halen days.
Oh yeah, man, it was great. So much spandex. Those are some of the funniest fucking pictures.
They actually used to have an apartment in Arlington,
Yeah.
and they were never there, but there was always a party there. So
one of those spots.
And I mean, I went there one time, I remember, and like there's so many band signatures on their dining room wall.
I'll bet.
And so anybody who would come to town, I mean, Cowboys was just getting big. So
Yeah.
anybody who came to town signed that wall. So there was all kinds of people on there.
That's fucking crazy.
But there was always like 300 people out front.
Yeah.
So I imagine they had to move a lot.
Right. They're well known by the local PD.
Yeah. And Vinnie Paul came back the next year.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty badass,
yeah,
man.
The guy called, my front door guy radioed me, and he's like, hey, Vinnie Paul's up front. And I was like, what? So I ran up there, and it was him and a whole bunch of people, and they went through, had a blast. He didn't hang around this time. You could tell now he's surrounded.
Yeah.
Like he has multiple friends that are trying to keep him safe.
Yeah.
You know what really sucks too is like Pantera would let anybody on stage.
Yeah,
Like,
they were
the
really
coolest
good about
live
that.
show. They didn't give a shit. They would hand you a drink.
I would actually argue that since that happened, you see a lot less of that in heavy metal.
Totally.
Which sucks because, I mean, like, heavy metal, for anybody out there, I don't know why you'd be listening to this show if you're not a heavy metal fan, but in case you aren't, it's a bit of a tribal mentality among us. Like, if you are at a metal show, whether you know everybody there or you don't know anybody there, like, there are certain markers or whatever, I guess you could call them, where, like, people treat you like fucking family. I know that because we're in a band that does not go over well in Fort Worth at all. We are not brutal enough.
I disagree with that.
We are not brutal enough for Fort Worth, but everybody treats us like family. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's real cool when you, and it doesn't matter if you're in Texas or Austria. Like, metalheads, they can see each other. They're easily identifiable. And there's just a certain, like, camaraderie there almost immediately built in. Now, that can change if the dude turns out to be a fucking asshole or something.
Right.
But that's not typically the case.
Right. The vast majority of the time.
The vast majority. It was, like I said, and in that tribal mentality, like, it was a very togetherness thing. Like, you know, it was a big-ass family. And then when you get events like Dimebag Darrell getting shot on stage. Somebody else got stabbed. I don't remember.
No,
but it was like there was a small... It happened like around then.
Yeah.
But it was like, you know, you don't get a whole lot of that anymore. A lot of like the bigger acts anyway are scared to get people up on stage with them now.
And justifiably so.
Yeah, because you don't ever know who's fucking crazy out there. You jump on a Diesel B stage and I don't know you, I'm going to hit you.
Right? It just, you know, I think it depends on the show. We definitely,
it does.
We definitely have people like randomly. It's like, oh, there's somebody on the microphone. But you know,
no, we'll do that too. I'm mostly talking about like assholes that lay across my pedal board while I'm trying to play.
Yeah.
Or assholes who try to grab your fucking spear.
Right.
Yeah. There's always some dickhead.
Sometimes you have to threaten to kill somebody every now and again, but the rest of the time,
it's usually pretty cool.
I mean, and to tie that back in with Frightmare is, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. It's
Exactly.
like,
well, it's nuts to butts in there the whole fucking time.
If you think about it, if you think about the number of people that are there and everything that's going on, it is astounding that people aren't dead.
Yeah.
But is like, you know, except for the occasional fucking douchebag that wants to start a fight or wants to throw a fit or wants to sneak in or, you know, whatever the reason, is the other 99.9% of the people are not only like very nice, but like overbearingly nice and just happy to be there.
They want to support. They're happy it's happening in the first
place. They will literally
place.
stand in line for like 6 hours to
Yes.
meet their idol and then just be in tears when they do. And then afterwards, like, they will just like hug like some random person that they just met because that person drove across the country to do the same thing. I
Absolutely.
mean, and
it is mind blowing.
It's really
That's
the same
amazing.
thing in metal is that because there's not the overbearing like promotion and stuff like that, is if you're there, it's because you want to be there. If you're at
Exactly.
Frightmare Weekend, it's because you put out an effort to be there.
It's not.
And-
You're not there to fulfill like some scene obligation.
and-
You're there
and-
because you
and
want to
if
be
you're at
there.
a metal show, is you're there because you want to be there. It's not because you're there to look cool.
I don't feel like anybody listens to Crop Dust unless you like Crop Dust.
Yeah.
Like that shit's not like the easiest.
Or even
music
like
to listen to.
like a if you think about like a national act like Slayer on their final tour, right? I mean, it's like one of the biggest metal bands on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like the people that are there, like in the pit and stuff like that, are there because they've been listening for their entire lives, and they will listen to them for their entire lives.
Yep.
It's like they're not the casual fan. And the same thing with Frightmare. Is like it's not the casual fan. Everybody wants to be there, and that like automatically makes like the huge majority of those people super cool.
Well, what he's saying too with like people standing in line all day. I mean, I can read some of the reviews after the con, and a lot of them is like, I met my best friend there. I met my wife in line.
Yeah, no, that's where
they don't even see each other except there. They didn't even meet till they were in line somewhere.
That's beautiful though. I mean, like that's how it's supposed to fucking be. Like
it's a Frightmare family.
We shared this experience together. We got the same thing out of this experience, and now we find ourselves both on this plane. And, you know, that's a really great jumping off point for something like fucking real. Yeah. You know what I mean? Other than just like, I saw you on Instagram, thought you had great tits.
Right.
Yeah. DM me.
You know, I don't want to get in all spiritual, but I mean, like
you it do is, it, man.
It like, well, I mean, I'm not, so that'll be easy. But, but it is, you know, somewhat like that. It's like they're smiling the whole time. You know, somebody may be grumpy because they think they're going to go be best friends with Bruce Campbell after they wait in his line for 4 or 5 hours, but they're not realistic on this is what it is.
Yeah,
and then again, that's the minority of people.
Yeah, it's the minority, but most of them, you just say, hey, you know, can you scoot over like 3 feet because we're going to make our triple line here or something.
Yeah,
they're like, sure, no problem. Nobody. You know, there's never any fights. It's not this thing.
Well, and like we talked about earlier, like con crowds are armed.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to start a fight in that crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I've got an axe.
It's like, I've got an axe too. Yeah. I've got 7 swords.
Going stars.
Yeah, it is a beautiful thing. I mean, there's people all over the world. I mean, I know I've said that before, but I mean, it just blows me away that there's going to be like 14 people from Colombia.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're coming to America, maybe the first time you've ever been here, and you're coming to us. And then you get on the plane and you go home. You're not even like going to go see the Cowboy Stadium or nothing. Because if I run into them and they have a crazy, you know, accent, I'll actually ask them, where are you from?
Yeah. Well, that's how you meet people and open yourself up to other cultures. The cure for racism is travel. So just throwing that out there right now.
I got a story that kind of ties that in is... Man, I can't remember. It was like maybe 3-4 years ago, but Sid Haig was at the con.
Oh, cool.
Captain Spaulding from
of course.
House of 1,000 Corpses, and then Spider Baby back in the day.
Fuck your mama.
And he was there. And so Scott, he was supposed to go down to his photo op. And so me and Abel were supposed to escort him from his room down to where the photo op is. So basically just make sure that he's not like mobbed.
Right.
And so we met him up at his room. We were like, hey, we're here. And, you know, because we're wearing like staff shirts, so they know who we are, right?
Right.
And so we escort him, and we're just taking the elevator ride down from like the 4th floor or whatever down to where the photo ops are. And, you know, it's the stars are staying in the same hotel room as everybody else. So we're taking this elevator down, and somewhere at like maybe like the 2nd floor it stops and it opens. And there was an Asian woman. I don't know if like what particular nationality she was, but the door opened and Sid Haig was in his Captain Spaulding full outfit.
Oh wow!
And the door opened and she saw who it was and she immediately started crying. And then the doors closed and we just kept going down. But just the effect of,
I know, just like, was that the most magical moment of her life, or like this earth-shattering moment where she didn't talk to one of her favorite stars?
But it was just like one of those things where it's like we were in the background watching this, but it was cool to see where it's like, who fucking knows how far she traveled to be here? And then the door, you know, she's just expecting to maybe like go up to her room, and the door opens, and boom, there he is, and it was just pure shock.
What I love about that is that like it's if you'd ask like any other random, you're like, yeah, man, I was escorting Sid Haig down from his hotel room and it made this woman cry. There's a lot of people out there that'd be like, who? You know what I mean? It's like,
he
so I
is
guess,
awesome.
yeah, I know
He's
he's
cool.
got to be.
He's a cool
He's
motherfucker.
so fucking good in everything he's ever done. I've been a fan of Sid Haig since before House of a Thousand Corpses. I love his character work. But I guess one of the whole reasons that I wanted to do this podcast was to celebrate niche subcultures.
Right.
And I love the
Underground art,
essentially. Yeah, I want to see what makes, this person over here cry that no one else would get. You know what I mean? Or gives this person this experience that no one else will get. And what you do with the Frightmare Weekend and everything like that is, I got you. Sorry. I was messing with the audio here. What you do with the Frightmare Weekend is so celebratory of that. You know what I mean? It's like these people, like I said, this is a cornerstone of their year. This is something they look forward to all year long. And you guys, from everything that I can tell with having this conversation with you tonight, is that you are incredibly dedicated to making this event go well for everyone. Like, you actually give, I mean, of course you want your staff to do their jobs right, but it's like you genuinely seem to give a shit about how the fans take all of this stuff. You genuinely seem to give a shit about how your guests are treated. Like, you genuinely seem to give a shit about how the hotel interacts with your event goers and things like that. It's just, whatever you guys are doing, you're doing it right. And I just keep it up, man. I'm excited
Thank you.
to get there and experience it myself, and then possibly bother you and make you hire me.
We, yeah, I mean, like it does take everybody, but it is an amazing thing. I think it's its own thing now, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to try and do is Jason and I are going to do our best to get into Fright, either as fans or press or whatever the fuck we can. We're going to try to get into Texas Frightmare Weekend, and then we'll give you about a week or two to chill. And then I'd like to have you back on the show and talk about it again, like through the eyes of two people that have never experienced it before, and with Craig, who's experienced it many, many times. I'd like to have you back on for like a follow-up. Do you think that's something you'd be interested in?
Sure, absolutely.
Right on. I cannot thank you enough for coming out tonight,
I appreciate
brother.
it. This was fun.
This was a really good conversation. I want you to say, like, no bullshit, no pandering. I really, really respect what you're doing here. And keep it up, man, because it sounds to me like you're doing a fantastic fucking job.
I appreciate it.
He's the guy that holds it together, man. I mean, it's Lloyd and Sue's operation.
Right.
So ultimate respect to them for putting it together and doing all that. But as far as, like, boots on the ground, like, it's all this guy. Like, it's 100% this guy.
Well, there's others.
No, there's a big staff of people that do it. There's, like Jeb and Charles and
Freeman's and all them.
Yeah, everybody,
Personnel.
and they all do an important part. I'm not putting down anybody.
Yeah, but your army army lives or dies by its generals.
Right, he's the general.
Yeah.
Period.
Straight up.
He's a great one. It's like I wouldn't have gone back year after year if it wasn't for this guy. Because like for me it's very cool. It's like you get to meet people and stuff like that. But it's on the volunteer side it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of work for no pay, and it's a lot of standing over there. And then also, as the volunteer, it's like when we were like run the lines and stuff like that is, we get to deliver the bad news.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
This guy right here,
like
I'll tell you.
500 people that have been in line for 6 hours and be like, hey guys, I'm sorry, but the line's shut down for the day. And they're like, yeah, but I only have a ticket for today. It's like, I know, I'm sorry, but the line is done for the day. So then for the next hour, you get to hear everybody tell you how much you suck.
I can do that.
So
I do that all the time.
Yeah, it is. So why would anybody go back to that? It's like, well, you go back to that to go hang out with your friends. That's why I do it.
Yeah.
And
family.
I'm not special in that regard. It's like there's been people that have been there a lot longer than me that go back because you see the same faces year after year. You hang out with your friends. You get to be in a cool environment. And yeah, it's a lot of work and you're fucking exhausted afterwards, but so what?
That's what breeds camaraderie, and camaraderie is an incredibly important element in human relationship. Yeah. So get off your ass and do something every now and then. That's my parting words to you. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for Warlord Radio.
It's been a great one. Thank you so much, Scott, for coming out.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And so please check out Texas Frightmare Weekend. Even if you're far across the country, there's videos up everywhere. It's a really cool event. And
apparently book your tickets now because them shits is selling out.
It is May 3rd through the 5th, 2019 in Dallas, Texas.
There you go.
There's always room for one more.
Right.
We'll make room for one more. Not everybody, everybody makes it in. Not everybody makes it out.
Right. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Appreciate it.